I need that sports encyclopedia. Where you at, Steve Kim? Got Trent in the cut.
What up, man? The real Coach JB. My main man, Big Smitty.
Are y'all ready for this?
Run like something to prove it. Came to a conclusion that it's Smitty and JB and Smitty from West Coast to your side, worldwide, we in your city. Keep it 150, we never change what's happening. Hurdle link
In any metric, Coach, you cannot have Russell Wilson in your
Nick gave me my first offer. Like, you got to have that store and you got to be marketable.
Hockey, football, baseball, then basketball.
Oh, I love this fucking show so much, man. Are you mixing light and dark at 11 a.m.?
I'm elated that I can be able to coach, that I can be able to mentor these kids, and give them everything that I've learned over the last 20 years.
Smitty and Jason Brown, killed it, yeah, it's a wrap. We what the game's been missing, we switched it and filled the gap. Smitty and Jason Brown, we killed it, yeah, it's a wrap. We what the game's been missing, we switched it and filled the gap.
You are now tuned in to the Coach JB Show.
Hello? Can you hear me? Derek. Man, God, I hate this dang phone line, man. I'm sorry, JB. I spent all this dang money on this phone line, and the signal was horrible. I don't get it.
Guess what? All right, appreciate you. We got a new deal with Mint Mobile. I just saved your whole life in phone drama. Mint Mobile is now a new proud sponsor of the Coach JB Show with Big Smitty.
Stop playing.
Your problem's been solved.
We got a partnership with Mint Mobile? You talking about Ryan Reynolds, Mint Mobile? Stop playing right now. Hold on. Let me Google this real quick.
You can try mintmobile.com/CoachJB and get 3 months free when you use the promo code CoachJB.
Hey, man, I did a quick Google search real quick to make sure you wasn't playing around. They got plans as low as $15? They got plans for $30, unlimited everything. Speed, coverage, data, access to 5G, unlimited talk, text, mobile hotspots. You can talk in Mexico, talk in Canada, and they're built on the nation's largest 5G network. Are you kidding me, JB?
Hey, and everyone wants to know how hard it is to switch to your service. Big Wireless wants to think it's hard. They want you to think it's hard, Big Smitty, but switching to Mint is super easy thanks to digital eSIM cards, which most phones now have. You can sign up and activate immediately right on your phone from the comfort of your own home. Mint Mobile does it all. Short, fat, skinny, and tall. That's why the Coach JB Show with Big Smitty is proud new sponsor using promo code CoachJB. Try mintmobile.com. This is where it's at. We got it, Big Smitty.
So, hey, I'm switching over to Mint Mobile right now, JB. I'm done with this company I'm working with. They crazy. The line it never works. The signal is out, and it costs too much money. I'm going over to Mint Mobile, JB, and y'all should do the same.
Big Smitty, I'm calling you right now.
JB, Mint Mobile.
Mint Mobile, clear as day. I hear you clear. The new promo code Coach JB right here, 3 months free. Mint Mobile, try mintmobile.com/CoachJB and get you there free. 3 months off, family deals, all deals, short, fat, skinny, and tall. Mint does it all. Proud new sponsor. Much love. We'll see you later. Peace. It's a Coke, not a soda, and definitely spelt wrong, not pop. Thanks to Eric with the wrench who misspelled the shirt. But guess what? We are in the building. It is Coach JB Show with Big Smitty, and it is T-Rich Thursday. Trent Richardson Thursday, as former Alabama legendary NFL running back Trent Richardson joins us today, along with Matt McChesney, Steve Kim. We got a loaded lineup today for everybody. And without further ado, let's bring our main co-host in and do the rundown with him, since we got a lot to talk about today on this T-Rich Thursday, Trent Richardson Thursday. Tomorrow is Free Game Friday with Big Jeff Nadu. Eric Weddle's going to join us tomorrow since he couldn't join us on E-Dub Monday. So we're going to make sure we got a loaded lineup for you tomorrow too, or as well if you want to grammatically correct myself. That's how you say shit. Uncle Moots, you are wrong. It is not soda. Soda is for soft people in the Midwest. FYI, people from like Indiana, Indianapolis, Naptown, 317, Post Road, Ball State. That is what you guys call in the Midwest soda. And without further ado, speaking of Ball State, Naptown, Far East Side, Post Road, Ball State, Fox Sports, LeBron hairline, AR5 enthusiasts, goggle wearing, Lamar Jackson swinging. Our main man, Big Smitty. Clap it up.
Okay,
You got an haircut. So you treat your birthday like these broads be treating their birthday. You probably have your birthday all month long, celebrate a half birthday. Smitty, have you ever heard of a half birthday? I'm getting hip to that. Females celebrate their half birthday.
Yes, I've heard that. It's like halfway through the year. It's
Why,
like,
you've heard that?
yeah, I don't do it, but I've heard people do it where it's like, so like my birthday's tomorrow, January 19th. So for me, it would be, I think, was it June 19th or July 19th is when I would celebrate mine. So it's like, I don't do it, but that's how they do it. Listen, don't hate, man. I'm a big believer in birthday. I think we all should celebrate our birthdays in one way or another because I think too often, JB, we always say tomorrow's not promised, but a lot of times we don't really live like that or believe that. I don't think I'm gonna die tomorrow. I really don't believe that, but you never know, and no day is promised. So if you're here on Earth another calendar year, you should be thankful for that. And I'm turning 30, JB. Like, that's a big. I know for you, it's like for me, it's like damn. I've been in my 20s for so long, and so much happened in my 20s, bro. Like my football career ended. I got a bad injury. I got my first major job out of college. I got started working at Fox. I joined the JB show. I interviewed Lil Wayne, interviewed Maya, met all like it's a lot. I got married. Fucking like I moved to LA. So much happened in my 20s, and now I'm just excited, nervous, curious of what's gonna happen in my 30s. So I'm, gotta turn up, JB. Roberto, buy Smitty a cake. Yeah, buy me a cake, JB. I like lemon cake. I like a red velvet. I like cake. Cake is good. So. Is it soft to celebrate your birthday, JB? Is that what you're saying? You soft, big Smitty. You don't celebrate birthday. Where I'm from Compton. Well, I'm from Compton, homie. We don't celebrate birthdays. We don't celebrate anything. Only thing we celebrate funerals, homie. I walked outside, I took over bodies, bro. Soft ass. That's what's wrong with your generation, Smitty. You're fucking soft. Fucking slap dick. Birthday. It's another fucking day. Get up and go work. You lazy fuck. Change some oil. Change the tire. That's the problem with your generation. You're soft.
That's pretty good. I clap it up for that. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. You're a pretty good actor. You actually can. You did a pretty good job right there.
Appreciate that. I've been practicing a little bit in the mirror, trying to get my JB. You know what I mean? So the black JB. You always say homie. That's some LA shit.
It is. It's some Compton shit, really. Like then LA started taking on the like bro shit and all that. See, what happened was, let me tell you the truth, bro. Real cool. Talk.
Break it down. We got time.
So when we were so young, when I was playing, obviously the N word was the big word amongst players. Yep. You know how
we still say that, just being real, but keep going.
Yeah, I know. But around 2005, 6. I started addressing my players like, motherfucker, you ain't never going to get a gig. You ain't going to get a scholarship. When Pete Carroll walk out here, hear you saying that shit. So in 05, 06, I was at San Bernardino Valley College. And I think you know Roy, who helps us out.
Yeah, shout out to Roy.
Roy played for me on that team. Aaron Madden, one of the best running backs I ever coached. A couple guys. And I started having these conversations with them. And then they started transitioning that word to bro.
Got you.
Amongst the team.
Yeah.
And the team started using the word way more. And then they started to make like, now I'm not saying we started in 05, like as far as the whole world or nothing, but it started. And then I noticed it on every team I coached from there on, even getting into Kansas and Garden City, Indianapolis, or Indy. You started seeing, bro, like it's where you would usually growing up hear the N word.
Yeah. No, I got
you hear bro now. You bro. So I was like, fuck it. And then I had my boys, my homies. We were all talking. We were talking in meetings, and they were like, hey, fuck it, dog shit. These motherfuckers, that's cool to me. Like, these are brothers talking about all the young brothers, like, fuck it. Let's go with bro. So I saw it like, and I think the older cats is still, they're not going to use the word bro as much. Like,
y'all say homie still.
My generation ain't going to use bro as much, but I don't know. It is what it is.
I like homie. I do like homie. I mean, every now and then I'll say my homeboy, my home girl, but I don't use homie a lot. You know what I'm saying? But I do mess with it though.
Homeboy and see back in the day. So, and I'm not talking blood or crip as far as I'm not talking blood meaning blood or crip gang banging.
Yeah.
When I was young, it used to be blood. It used to be family. Like family, I used to know Crips growing up that would say young blood. That was a big thing. That was like when I was young, early 80s. And then cats started getting smoked over it. And people were like, what did you say? It's like, man. But when you hear an older cat walk into a room and say young blood, cats know that the cats understand what he's saying. And he could be a big-ass Crip, OG Crip. But you young bloods don't know what. It was all about having blood. It wasn't about blood. The color and the gang. So that was a thing back in the day. And so I don't know. People don't understand. Like blood meant people. Like to my homie, your peoples? You mean your peoples? Because they were looking like we both from a blue neighborhood.
Right. What you talking about? I need some clarity real quick.
Like, you mean your folks. That.
All right, bad. Just shake your hand out there.
A little shit, or your ass get pilt.
Right. Got to clarify before I make my next decision. I got to make sure that we on the same page.
Yeah, you gotta. It's deep. It's deep. We on T-Rich Thursday. We got a lot going on. Let's get you with the quote of the day right out the gate before we get into the script of our rundown. Brought to you by BetOnline.ag. Use the promo code BELIEVE BLEAV. And get you 50% off plus welcome bonus. You got NBA tonight. We had some NBA last night. LeBron ran off the court after smacking the Mavs to go catch the second half of little Bronny playing across the street. Quote of the day. Life shrinks or expands in proportion to one's courage. Big Smitty. Life shrinks or expands in proportion to one's courage. How willing are you to step out on the ledge is how big or small your expectations, your bubble, your group, your circle, your life can be. I don't know how big it can get. You can get, I guess, sky's the limit, they used to say.
Yeah.
I don't know. I used to reach for the stars, land on the moon. It wasn't a bad thing. Contrary to belief, brought to you by Prize Picks. Head on over there. Use the promo code Coach JB. Doubt is an uncomfortable condition, but certainty is a ridiculous one.
Ain't nothing certain in life.
We'll be saying facts all the time on this show.
Oh, no.
Contrary to belief, what you deeply need is not stuff, comfort, or beauty. It's meaning. That's what you really need, contrary to belief. You deeply need meaning in life, not stuff, not comfort, not beauty, meaning, contrary to belief. That is critical, in my opinion. Poll question, Big Smitty. Did Jerry Jones do the right thing? Because that is the thumbnail. The Beasts of the East are back. McCarthy and Sirianni are returning in Philly and Dallas, respectively. We're going to break that down, Smitty. That is the poll question for everybody in the room. Drop it in the chat. Me and Smitty and I will discuss it right after this. We'll break this thing down. In unfortunate news in the NBA world, the Golden State Warriors, Milojovic, I believe his name is, 46-year-old. I think he's the cousin of young Joker for the Nuggets, passed away after eating dinner in Utah. People still don't know what's going on. 46 years old. They're calling it a heart attack. I've heard some weird stuff about this incident in Salt Lake City, getting ready to play the Jazz. I heard that they were eating. He had some
private dinner.
I heard he had some different shellfish, and I know shellfish sometimes is a major issue. I don't eat shellfish too often outside of California. I'm gonna be honest with you. Really? I've heard a lot of people get deathly ill from. You can eat a bad oyster, homie, and die. So man. I don't know what's happening here, but they're saying it's a heart attack. 46 years old, Smitty. We're seeing a lot more people this age die of heart attacks. I've never seen it. And I know I'm not a conspiracy guy. Listen, people talk about the shot and all these different shit. Listen, we can say it is that or not. I don't know. But all I do know is I've never seen this many young, athletic people, healthy people die of a heart attack in my entire life. So I don't know what that is, what that means. All I know is I'm seeing it. CJ Stroud says he doesn't see himself as a black quarterback. He sees himself as a Christian athlete. And CBS seemed to have edited him saying that. We're going to break this down. We got a lot to talk about today on this topic. Had a conversation with Tank Johnson last night about this, and it's interesting to hear what he had to say. And it kind of put it in perspective and wrap up our morning rant in a nutshell after talking to Tank. Makes perfect sense. Saban says even though people are leaving Bama at an all-time high in the portal, the standard is still there and not gone.
No excuses. Figure it out.
Dive into the Alabama transfer portal deal with Ken DeBoer. ACC files a lawsuit versus Florida State for breach of contract after Florida State filed a lawsuit versus the ACC telling them we want out after the playoff scrapping or denial, we should say, of them not getting in the playoff, being undefeated in the Power 5 conference. They said, your conference isn't good enough. We want out. And the ACC said, no, you're going to pay us big money then to leave. And so, Florida State sued. Now ACC's countersuing with a breach of contract lawsuit. Interesting stuff there at Florida State, man. It seems like they are going through the gauntlet, something after another there in Tallahassee. The Pacers, Big Smitty, your Pacers make a big move and get Siakam.
Pascal Siakam. Yes, sir. Big move.
In a trade with the Raptors, I like Siakam. I pick him on my fantasy picks all the time on my daily DFSs. I pick him a lot. He always usually a 35, 45 point bucket on that fantasy point thing. If it was football and I was a casual fan, he might be the greatest player of all time. That's how you guys think. That's how Patrick Mahomes the best ever. He gets me 60 draft points. So I think Siakam is the greatest basketball player of all time, according to my DraftKings points that he gets me. I think Siakam. I'm going to go around saying Siakam's the greatest of all time, better than everybody. Barkley, Bird, Shaq. He's the best ever. Police say that your guy, Jim Irsay, was unresponsive at home in December. Very interesting right here. We're going to break that down. We heard that he had a little respiratory illness. Now they're saying this happened.
Lord Jesus.
So we're going to break that down. The Bucs and Baker Mayfield respond to the Lions and the DBs talking trash. Interesting. It's getting interesting. That's what I want to see, man. Playoff football. I want to see some shit. But I will tell you this, when we get into this, Baker does not play well after responding and talking shit. I'm just telling you right now, history is said before. When he talks shit, he does not play well. Just stay quiet and go ball like you've been balling. Lakers, Mavs, Bucs, Cleveland. Lakers kind of handled the Mavs, surprisingly. The Bucs kind of got dominated by Cleveland. This is a team that is like fugazi to me. The Bucs scared. I'm just telling you right now, the loss of Holiday, the Bucs team worries me. I don't see the defense. They give up way too many points. And I don't know. They have an up game beating a Boston team, and then they'll get beat by 30 by Cleveland. This team right here, man, I'm telling you, Indiana dominates them in the East so far. They got a very, very interesting squad. We're going to dive into
and they still the number 2 seed with all that being said, which is crazy.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's horrific. All right. We're going to talk about Jared Mayo addressing the media for the first time as a head coach. He makes some controversial comments that Smitty and I will discuss like no other show will. We'll dive into that. The Seahawks GM given one directive for being a GM now in Seattle, and that is the head coaching search now falls under his command. Before, the GM in Seattle did not have control to hire or fire. Now the owner has given him directive. You now find the head coach. So different things happening there in Seattle. I'm curious on these teams taking this long to hire, because I think the Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, and the guys that are out there floating around Jim Harbaugh has thrown all these people a wrench where they're like, shit, what do we do? Usually this guy's hired by now. So I'm curious to see how this unfolds. Harvey Weinstein, as people know who he is, a big-time producer in the movie world. And the Knicks owner, Dolan, is accused of a little bit of a SA, we call it, assault in a lawsuit. And the lawyer is standing on business. We're going to break that down here today. And the Suns 2 nights ago outscored the Kings 33-8 in a final run to come back. KD shoots 2 free throws to win it at the buzzer. And the Kings have choked off 2 25-point leads. Dame Lillard hit him with a dagger 3 nights ago and called game as he hit a 3. And then KD hits 2 free throws to walk off the court after being down by 25 in the fourth. The Kings are really good to a young team. I like Mike Brown, Big Smitty, but they're choking and giving up big leads late, and that's what's going to cost them in the playoffs. Arizona, University of Arizona in Tucson hires San Jose State head coach Brennan. Good dude. I've known him a long time. He's been around. He's put in a lot of work. But I'm shocked at the hire, actually, over a few other names that I do know. We're going to dive into it. Julian Edelman. Says that Randy Moss used to give him money to fit in and show the wide receiver room that he was cool. Shout out to Randy Moss. I know what he's talking about. I know what they're talking about. I've been there, done that. When you're a young kid, you don't have nothing. You try to tell them, hey, man, go get this and pay. I used to give it to my young O-line coach. Like, hey, go buy the O-line and burgers today. Motherfucker, figure it out. People. I don't think guys understand there's little things you got to do to get into it. But we're gonna dive into all that. But first, let's get out the gate, Smitty. Did Jerry Jones do the right thing?
It's a tough one. I'm gonna say I've been going back and forth with this all week, man. Answer's been, one day I'm like, man, you gotta fire him after that. Another day I'm like, well, he won 12 games, 3 seasons in a row in Dallas, which is very hard to do. Thinking about it right now, in the current present moment, I'm gonna say yes, they did do the right thing. Mike McCarthy is a Super Bowl winning head coach. He did bring out the best version of Dak. But I do say this: I don't think you can bring back Mike McCarthy and Dak. One of them has to go. And I know Dak has one more year, I think, left on his major contract. But as we all know, if you want to trade and get out of a situation, the NFL can figure it out. So if they're keeping Mike, they have to get rid of Dak. You can't bring back the same exact head coach QB combination and stand in front of your team, stand in front of your Dallas Cowboys nation and tell them, hey, we're going for it all this year. Because we've already seen it. We've already seen it time and time again. Dak has been 8 years in the NFL and hasn't even sniffed the NFC Championship game. He sniffed it once, the catch, the Dez Bryant catch, which I believe was a catch. If he wins that game, I think that goes to the NFC Championship. Outside of that, haven't even sniffed the NFC Championship game. So I just believe if you're going to bring Mike McCarthy, cool. Kudos. That's good. I'm not mad about that based upon his success as a head coach. But you got to move on from Dak. Because I understand as a head coach, and you know the JB, you can only do so much. You can put up the best scheme and the best play calls and do all this and that. But at the end of the day, the players make the plays. And you can set us up for success, but we go out there and we decide to go in the wrong gap, or we get nervous when the lights come on and make a bad read or stare down a wide receiver. Mike McCarthy can't control that. Some of those picks that Dak threw is out of Mike McCarthy's hands. You know what I'm saying? So I don't mind them keeping him, but something has to move. And since you're keeping him, you got to move on from Dak, in my opinion.
here's the thing with this Cowboy team, the roster that's constructed and currently, in my opinion, and it has been this way since the Aikman-Emmitt Smith regime. The Aikman-Emmitt Smith regime, if you look at the roster and that team, there was a bunch of cats that backed up their talk. They talked the talk and walked the walk. They didn't put up godly numbers other than Emmitt Smith, of course, the records that he holds. But Aikman, I always call, one of my favorites, one of the best in the business, in my opinion. But then you say, oh, he doesn't have these godly numbers and blah, 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 blah. The reason is because they didn't need to. They earned results, and they showed up in every big game they ever played. You did not have to worry about Troy Aikman not showing up in a major game that mattered. Right. He was going to be 70% completions and going to make the right throws, make the right checks. He was going to be dicing it out there, handing it, fitting it off, getting it to Novacek, moving the ball, moving the sticks, getting it to Harper on the backside, away from Irvin when he got double teamed. Could not double team Novacek, Irvin, and Harper, and play the run box with Emmitt Smith and Moose and that O-line you had to deal with. Plus, they had the best defense in football. Here's the thing. Ever since those rosters, this Cowboy team, every single one of them, after Aikman to the, who replaced Aikman? Shit. They had Quincy Carter, and they tried. They went on a horrible run at quarterback. The surrounding pieces have been fugazi. All of them, and I'm talking about right now's talented roster. To me, is bust. They're bust. CeeDee Lamb, I'm calling a bust. Micah Parsons, I'm calling him a bust. If you watch them in big games, they do not show up. CeeDee Lamb drops more big-time balls in critical situations than any other receiver in football, although he had the most catches during the regular season. See, people think that you get a lot of numbers and you're like this guy. Show up when it matters. You didn't have to worry about Michael Irvin having 88 catches. Novacek had 90. Harper had 80. Like, this shit was spread out. CeeDee Lamb has 100 and whatever catches and then don't show up in the playoffs. Drop 2 critical balls in the playoffs. If you go look the other day, if you look at last year, if you look at every big game he's ever played in, he's a bust. He's great in the regular season when there's no pressure. The same with Micah Parsons, the same with a lot of these guys. We thought that Zeke Elliott was being replaced with Pollard, and Pollard was the next greatest fucking thing. What has Pollard done? It is a roster that is completely full of bust. And I could argue we spent all this money on this roster and Jerry Jones because of who they are. They're this big-time talented draft pick. They're this freak of nature. Oh, my God, I've never seen a cat walk around look like him. But they don't show up in the games that matter. And that is a fact. That is what this roster currently is, and that's what they're going to stay. You have to make a change, in my opinion. And I don't know if McCarthy's the change you need to make. He's won a Super Bowl with a guy and a bunch of guys around that guy in Green Bay that balled, that were there, performed, showed up. Mercedes Lewis's of the world. But now, by the way, he's had the best season ever with Dak Prescott. Yep. Remove Kellen Moore, and Dak Prescott had the best season ever. So the argument could be, hey, Jerry, you saw what I did with Dak this year. MVP caliber numbers. Just give me another year with them. Now, that could have been an argument in the room with Jerry to keep his job, A. And now he could say, listen, you saw what I did with Dak. I can do this with Kirk Cousins. I could do this with blah, blah, whoever it is out there. So he had 2 arguments, in my opinion, to keep his job. And I think Jerry realized, all right, I don't know if you're the problem. I think I agree with you. I think it's time. I don't know if you can go into next season and continue the same damn team, have the same
Come
team,
on
and
now.
think I'm going to win again. You can't no more. And it's shocking that they kept McCarthy, but I did not expect him to fire McCarthy either. But it is shocking only for the matter of fact that Pete Carroll's there.
Yep.
Belichick's out there.
Yep.
Jim Harbaugh's out there.
Yep.
That is what's surprising to me, that he's been kept. So I actually fucking respect the fact that Jones kept the dude as a coach from a coaching standpoint, because I don't believe it is always the coach that I think they get a lot of short ends of the stick to cover up for the high paid player, because we are in a player
easy way out. It's the easy way out, JB. It's like, all right, well, I'm paying this quarterback $100 million. I can't get rid of him. All right, get rid of the coach. You know what I'm saying? But
yep.
In this situation, I think it's the opposite.
That's what it is. I think that's what it is. And listen, is there a guy to come in and replace his numbers? It ain't about numbers anymore, in my opinion. Like, let's be honest. Lamar will win the MVP probably, but let's be honest. His numbers aren't, holy shit, 50 touchdowns and 5,000 yards. His numbers are mid, to be honest. He's just a dynamic player on a dynamic roster that does the right thing on a team that if you don't screw it up, our defense will handle it, our run game will handle it. I'll make explosive, crazy plays, but he doesn't have godly numbers. Like, let's be honest. You don't need to, in my opinion. I don't know if you need to have Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady numbers anymore, Peyton Manning numbers anymore in this current league. As I call watered down, I think you can win with numbers that Lamar Jackson has right now on a team that's constructed a little bit different in Dallas. If you go change that roster up a little bit, I think Kirk Cousins is actually a better fit in Dallas than Dak. I think you get rid of CeeDee Lamb because of the optics of the teams that see him be put on the trade block. People are going to be like, oh shit, I'll give you a 1, a 2, a 3. And you might get 3 freaks for CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb, just look at the facts. He doesn't show up in big games.
Right.
And I'm just saying, like, I would try to change the roster is my point. That's all I'm saying. Change the roster somewhere, somehow, somewhat. And I think it starts at QB. Got to get you another receiver. I like their tight end, but you probably need another one.
Or whatever, yeah.
So it is what it is.
But it's crazy. One last thing, JB. I agree with everything you just said, but it's like coming to the season, we thought the Cowboys had a top 3 roster in the league. So it's like, if I'm Jerry Jones or I'm a G, like, if I'm like, what else do y'all want? Like God, lead Dak. Like, you need that much help? Like, how much more do you need? When I look at your roster on paper, defense and offensively, you have everything you need.
I don't know about wideout, though. Their wideouts are suspect.
I get
like, you got Brandon Cooks, he's older, who hasn't had a grill because he's been injured.
He's
Gallup showed flashes early as a young kid. Hasn't really done anything else since.
Right.
Who else they got? They traded Wilson kid. Who else do they got? I just think Dak is very careless in the playoffs. I think the team. So this is what happens with Dak. Let's just break down Dak real quick before we move on. Dak has to have everything perfect. Or if he doesn't, if he has a guy like CeeDee Lamb drop the ball, for instance.
Yeah.
Dak puts all the onus on him and says, all right, now I got to force this dig because CD dropped the ball, whether Dak's in his mind like, oh, fuck man, he dropped the ball. Now he forces it and it's picked.
Right.
And that's what you see. You got to have guys catch everything around him. Or compared to a guy like a Brady or a big-time Aaron Rodgers or a Matthew Stafford who had Cup drop a ball in the Tampa game and then comes right back and throws that bang eight for a touchdown, where a lot of quarterbacks would have forced something to do a pick because they were pissed off and they didn't know what to do because I got the ball dropped. I don't know. Dak's not that guy. Dak will force something because he's just rattled that his guy dropped it and now he thinks he did his job. It's not on me. No, it is. You got to now make the next play great again because that's what you do for $150 million.
Right.
Like, that's what I don't think he has. As much as, people like Dak and all that stuff, I don't think he has that fortitude to come back and say, fuck, Man, you dropped it. Fuck it. Let's go. Gallup, next. You're up next. They probably think I'm going back to CeeDee Lamb because he dropped it. Nah, Gallup, you're going to be open on the backside dig route in the second window.
Right.
I don't see that.
See, and I agree with everything you just said. The thing is, though, when is it perfect in football? You know what I'm saying? Like, so basically what we're saying is Dak's never going to win it all because it's never going to be perfect. Even go give him another star receiver, the opposite of CeeDee Lamb. All right, it might be a little better, but at the end of the day, at some point as a quarterback, you have to step up to the plate and make plays when it matters the most. Even the most average quarterbacks, Joe Flacco, who to me has been pretty much average majority of his career, but that one good run he had in the playoff, he stepped up and played amazing. He made big plays and big time moments, and he got him some jewelry. So my thing is, if Dak ever wants to get a ring, he's going to have to step up. He can't depend on the defensive end to get 4 sacks or his receivers to make one-hand catches. No, Dak, they have to depend on you to not, at least bare minimum, not screw it up. And throwing pick sixes and back-to-back interceptions, and that's how you mess it up. At least go out there and be clean, throw 1 or 2 touchdowns, 200 passing yards, but no picks, and then let your defense kind of help you lead the way. Do that. But when you go out there throwing picks after picks and turn over it just – come on, bro. You're actually losing the game. So I think they got to move on.
The problem I have is, if you notice the teams they lose to is teams that run the football down their throat. Aaron Jones had 3 touchdowns the other night. They dominated the ball with play action passes. Jordan Love was very accurate, and he has 5 young receivers that he moved the ball around and spread it out to against the Dallas defense that we look on paper and it's like, oh, my God, they're going to dominate. Micah Parsons is going to dominate. Micah Parsons tapped out of that game because they ran the football down their throat. And when you run the ball at soft people, you create a narrative that says, hey, you're either going to nut up and gut up and meet me in a gap, or you're just a pretty pass rusher that's a freak of nature that's going to run right past the play as we run right down your throat. That is who Micah Parsons and that Dallas defense is. Look at who they played last year when they lost to the Niners. They got beat running down their throat. The Arizona Cardinals this year ran the ball down their throat. Seattle, when they lost to Dallas, but they should have won the game, ran the ball for 240 yards down their throat. And when you run the football versus the Cowboys and you show them that we're not going to look pretty, we're going to make you get out of your pretty. And you don't do it, that's what the Cowboys kryptonite, I guess, whatever you want to call it is. That is what you got to change on that roster. You need some dogs. You need some guys that want to come out. You want a guy to come out and catch the 10-yard ball and just fall down, get hit. Now, fuck it. Here, I'm gonna catch a 10-yard ball every single time, though. Yeah. Like, you need a guy to stop, just blow up A-gap and take on the double. You may not ever make the play. But guess what? Everyone else comes and swarms it up. They don't have that one guy. Everybody now, I agree with Ray Lewis, everything now is an individual effort play to get an individual bag.
Right.
And there's no more team tackling. There's no more team running. There's no more. You saw the Pickens of the world this year not even care about the run game and dot block and get a guy blown up. It's all me now. And it's all my bag. It's all, what do you do for me? What I get. It's not that football didn't used to be that way. And if it was that way, we used to call you out or get your ass whooped in the locker room privately. Motherfucker, you didn't want to block for me? Like, dog, that would have been a problem, homie, back in the day. And it wouldn't even have been by probably the running back. It would have been by the O-line, and the defensive players would have came over there. This was a team thing. Nowadays, it ain't no team thing. Whoever wins a Super Bowl, in my opinion, and even in college football, I think it is straight up luck of the draw as far as who wins the game. Like, whoever makes the biggest play at the right time. I think if somebody lined up in one of those games in 21 personnel and ran ISO and power the whole game and play action pass a few times, they would win every game. I don't think anybody wants to turn down. Nah. I think people turn down a fullback today's age right now. If I got into 2-3 fullbacks on a roster and I just rotated fullbacks and ran A-gap, ISO at your ass, I don't think there's a backer in the league or in college that wants to hit a fullback 70 plays a game.
And that there ain't no fullback or running back trying to get hit 70 plays a game, and they don't have the energy to do so.
But
and
I put a line back there. I'll put a fucking lineman in there.
Yeah, but now I'm putting 8 in a box. O-lineman fatigue after 70, 80 plays. Like, nah, man.
Eight in the box doesn't do nothing to me. If 8 people are in the box and you're all soft, it don't mean shit.
That ain't working, man. Tennessee, we've seen teams try to run 25, 30 times, and it's not effective. The Tennessee Titans have tried to do that with Derrick Henry, ran him into the ground last 2 years. It was successful to an extent, but at the end of the day, like, if I got 8 in the box and my D lineman is getting off blocks and shit like that, we're not even allowing the running back or fullback to even catch momentum. So you're saying it's so physical, but I'm hitting this motherfucker before he even gets going. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't know. I hear what you're saying. I don't think the league is that soft. We're like, oh my God, we can't stop the run. We're not even seeing that. Running backs ain't even getting off like that this year.
3 of the 4 college playoff teams, I'm going to keep Washington out of it as not.
Yep.
But they did run the football, but not like the other 3. Michigan, Texas, and Bama ran the football for the last 11 weeks more successful than anybody else in the country. They were in the Final Four.
College, I agree with you. College, I'm talking
well, I'm just saying the NFL, too. Right now, the Ravens are the best team in football. The Niners are the second best team in football. They both run the football better than anybody else in football.
I'm not disagreeing about utilizing the run, but I'm saying I don't think if a team went out there and ran 60, 70 times a game and said, fuck the pass, we're going to just run the ball. I don't think that's going to work.
Here's the difference in Tennessee comparison and the Derrick Henry comparison to some of these people in the chat that know nothing. If all you have is Derrick Henry, bro, you don't need to do nothing. I just stay in a fucking 5-man box and stop you. That they don't have a QB or a wide receiver or a tight end that fucking helps me dissect the coverage. Yeah, Derrick Henry, so what? If you can't throw a fucking hits, if you can't do anything on the perimeter, you got rid of A.J. Brown. You didn't replace him. You don't have a tight end. You don't have another back that's either like a old thunder and lightning combination. Yeah. You don't have it. So the Titans is a horrible comparison. They have nothing else. So I'm going to fucking – Derrick Henry's getting stopped today. Guess what? Beat us. They don't have no answer.
Right.
You got to bring in a rookie quarterback, Will Levis. Are you going to bring in Tannehill again? I mean, like, that's the problem. They don't have anything other than him, and he's an aging back at that, which is a bigger back who now has, I'm going to take his knees out every game. So, like, it's a bad comparison to me. I think there's other ways to do it with better talent around him. But let's move on. It's T-Rich Thursday. When he pops in. The Beasts of the East are back. McCarthy and Sirianni are back in Philly and Dallas, respectively. We don't know for sure about Sirianni in Philly, but him and the GM and Sirianni were on the prowl yesterday looking at coordinators across the league to replace his coordinators. So obviously there must be thinking he's returning. At least that's what we think. That's the narrative. Or they wouldn't let him look for coaches to hire, in my opinion, right? You wouldn't let a coach on the way out hire a coaches coming in. Like, it doesn't make sense. So you think Sirianni's on the return. I thought he would be too. I know a lot of people thought he'd be fired. I thought. And then the locker room's kind of defending him on some low-key shit. You heard, Fletcher Cox defend him yesterday. You heard some other people defending him. So it is what it is. Now, I've heard some crazy shit in the last 24 hours about this roster.
What'd you hear?
I talked about the A.J. Brown thing. I already told you that's a situation. I've heard that Sirianni and Jalen Hurts have issues. So, like, trying to figure out, this is a weird fucking dynamic, dog. And this whole thing is weird. I'm just telling you right now. When you saw Sirianni make Jalen Hurts do the tuck and the ball security drill, and he didn't like it and moped and cried. And then I showed you guys and told you guys when the quarterback walks around with those expressions and that physical, I don't give a fuck look as a quarterback, you got problems. And Jalen, as what I've said on this show 4 weeks ago, Jalen looked like that guy. Like, he is out of it. He don't want nothing to do with it. Then you combine that with an A.J. Brown, who's a prima donna receiver anyway. You do that with an aging O-line. You do that with a D-line who I told you guys missed too many key guys. You're going to be depending on 2 young guys, second-year guys, and a rookie. You're going to be shitting up, shit creek without a paddle, and that's what they did. Jalen Carter was a non-factor down the stretch. You had defense in the secondary that was one of the worst in football. This roster has a lot of holes, just 11 months removed from a Super Bowl. But that is also the fact of why you keep Sirianni. I think you give him a chance to at least show that he can get you back there. Now, if he can't, it's a dog-eat-dog world. This is a result-oriented business, and what have you done for me lately matters in this league. So I would say he's on his last year there to shit or get off the pot, so to speak, in Philly. So I don't know. McCarthy we already discussed, but the Sirianni one, I expected him to return. That would have been a hasty one, in my opinion. I expected him to return, and that's what happened. I do expect some things to be shifted around, though, on that roster and on the coaching staff.
Yeah, you got to. Like I said, you can't do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. So they got to make some changes somewhere. It looks like they're looking at other coordinators. It looks like losing their D coordinator to the Cardinals and losing Shane Steichen, the offensive coordinator, to my Colts, definitely played a huge role in the way their team played this year. I mean, I think the facts is right there. You know what I'm saying? So they got to figure that piece out. They got to make some roster changes. Obviously, with Kelsey retiring, that's huge. Not only from a standpoint of just how the player himself on the field, but from a leadership standpoint, losing that voice in the locker room can be crucial. So obviously they still got Lane Johnson on that line, and I'm sure he'll step up to the plate and try to kind of be that, fill in that void, but it's still not going to be the same. So definitely going to need some different changes to happen in Philly if they expect to get back to that Super Bowl level. But I agree. I think Nick Sirianni is going to be on the hottest seat going into next year. Like once we get to the offseason, we start having, offseason discussions and like the late spring, early summer, we'll talk about hottest seats. I think Nick Sirianni is going to be towards the top of that list, because if they have another season like this next year, there's no way in hell I see Philly bringing them back. You know what I'm saying? So they got to figure it out. They got to at least, win a playoff game next year. I think bare minimum for him to even secure his job. So I'm not mad that he came back. It's probably good to keep some stability and not cause some craziness going on, and give him another chance to kind of right his wrongs.
Yeah, I agree. NBA, the Warriors, Milojevic, 46-year-old, died yesterday after having dinner in Utah as a Warrior. I knew something was serious when he had dinner and then they canceled the game right away. He hadn't even died yet. He hadn't died yet. So it makes me think he died already. They didn't announce it. So he either died right out the gate. He was dead when they said he got sick at dinner, in my opinion, because you don't just say we're going to cancel the game. Like, I'm like, pandemic or something happened? Like, what? Why would you cancel the game for somebody who got sick?
Right.
So it tells me that they jumped the gun and told on themselves, which is, I don't care. The guy died, so it's unfortunate, and they canceled the game the same night, in which I knew something was up. Like, this is bigger than just a food poisoning. Something happened, and they said he had a heart attack, and that had to be man.
Scary, bro.
From what I hear is he had a heart attack in front of the whole team, and there's nothing they could do, and he died in front of the roster.
Yeah. And think about what they could do to your team, to your mentals, bro. Like, come on now. Like, that's tough. I can imagine seeing somebody, my coach, you know what I'm saying? We all chilling, having a good time, getting ready for the game, discussing the game plan. He was healthy. He's been healthy as hell this whole time. And then, boom, he's not here. Like, that'd mess me up for a minute, honestly. You know what I'm saying? Like,
the shit they're going through already, Steve Kerr, I wouldn't be shocked if this is Steve Kerr's last year.
Yeah, or at least take a break, maybe. You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy.
I won't say last year, period, coaching, but I say take a break.
Yeah.
Maybe. I can see that.
Shout out to him and his family, and prayers up to him. That's Joker's, I think, nephew or cousin or something, like older cousin.
Yeah, I know they when he was young, when Joker was young, I think he was one of his coaches over in like Serbia or something like that. So like they all those guys overseas, they kind of know each other and close. So
I think they're both Serbian though.
Yeah.
Sucks. CJ Stroud, he says he doesn't see himself as a black quarterback. He sees himself as a Christian athlete. I've had a lot of buddies who've coached him out here in California. He's right up the street. He grew up right up the road here, played locally here. Listen, I want to start off with a rant about before I get into CJ Stroud. I don't know when T. Rich is jumping on here. And then T. Rich can chime in. And I talked to Tank Johnson last night about this particular thing. So here's my deal. A lot of shows won't talk about this conversation, not with a white dude and a black dude co-hosting the show, but we are, because we're the realest show on planet Earth, and we don't have nothing to hide. And whatever you get from us is going to be raw, opinionated, but some factual evidence in the same thing that we both have, a history in or with. So we have experience in dealing with this shit. And in the midst of the Gerard Mayo comments that he made addressing the media for the first time as the Patriots head coach, and CJ Stroud being asked about being a black quarterback, and he refuses to address it, and then he says he's a Christian, I got a beef here. This is my morning rant, Big Smitty, and I want to do it with you. Why are these fucking narratives always pushed by the media, mainstream media, to be very clear? Why is it always a question about race? Smitty and I discuss a football locker room all the time on this show. It is a very intimate setting. It is a very tightly knitted group of brothers who usually, or are used to at least, cry together, bleed together, sweat together, and ride or die together. Now it is some fashion show, social clout chase, or some type of race baiting narrative that makes the slowly declining game that once was so great even more hard to watch for me. Can't brothers just be brothers and not see color? We did it for years and years and years. Why now is it such a fucking media grab? You wonder why cats don't want to talk to the fucking media anymore. Like, fuck out of here, man. Miss me with the dumb shit. Mayo says he sees color. Will that throw off the white players who want to come to New England or don't now want to come to New England? CJ saying he ain't black. He's not a black QB. He sees himself as a Christian. It just isn't good enough, Smitty, anymore. It's not a good enough answer anymore. And that's what I took away from talking to Tank Johnson last night. He mentioned to me that during the Super Bowl, which is the biggest media grab in the world, they asked him question after question after question. He could never be right. He said this question, they told him, oh, it's racial. He said this thing, and they told him, now you're too quiet. He stayed quiet. They said he's scared to talk. You can't be right with the media, and you wonder why cats don't want to fuck with you. You wonder why Mike Tomlin stood up and fucking walked out. You wonder why we're seeing all these different things being said about the media, because this is all they have. And the integrity of the media is being lost every single day by questions being asked to the Todd Bowles of the world about weather on an indoor fucking track. We don't do our research. I love to see Michelle Tafoya come out and say, if you're going to ask a question, do some due diligence. Go do some research. Be an investigative reporter or journalist, not just a fucking clout chaser. I love to see Michelle Tafoya come out and say that yesterday as one of the greatest journalists of all time. This will, to me, Big Smitty, it's just never going to be a good enough answer. And we wonder why we're so fucking divided. Jesus help us all, man. I don't know where to go with this. All I know is the Mayo, I listened over and over and over. I've had a lot of people hit me up about the Mayo comments, and he made a few different comments. Play the comment real quick. Play the first one about the thing, Bailey, the race, see color issue.
I do see color, because I believe if you don't see color, you can't see racism. And whatever happens, black, white, disabled person, I've always, even someone with disabilities, I always, for the most part, people are like, when they're young, they kind of make the spot hot. Younger people know what that means. But what I would say is, Like, no, I want you to be able to go up to those people and really understand those people. So it goes back to whatever it is, black, white, yellow, it really doesn't matter, but it does matter so we can try to fix a problem that we all know we have.
Let me, before you go in, Smitty, he also made another comment with Kraft about Kraft not being able to pronounce a brother's name.
Yeah, that was more of a joke. I saw that one, yeah.
Shimon. I'll get it right. Get it right.
Well, we'll have to.
No, it's all right. It's one of those black names. I'll help you with that.
The way he's laughing and shit, like Kraft, I don't know. Here's the thing. Like, a lot of folks are going to probably be like, hey, who hired this motherfucker? Well, how did he get the job? There's no way he replaces Belichick and wins 6 rings and blah, 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 blah. So I'm just trying to, the way he laughed with Kraft right there, it seems like Kraft is all in on him. So I don't, obviously, the way that happened, I know their PR team's probably getting blasted because of just the optics of social media, of course. So I'm sure Kraft's dealing with that today. I listen, and I'm like, fuck, man. You know, I don't know. I want to get your take on it first as a brother and say, okay, this is your first head coach addressing. That's what I want to be clear with. This is the first addressing as the head coach, first-time head coach of a franchise that may be the most recognized one in football. Would you have went this route, or is this just like, fuck it, drop my nuts? I mean, what? It's always going to be controversial when race is involved, and that's why I have an issue with always asking about it, as the media always has to ask about race. And I'm just like, the players don't give a fuck.
Right. I mean, listen, so it's a lot to unpack here. So from a media standpoint, I do agree with you on a lot of what you said. The media uses race as a tool to generate more views. Like, we know that if there's a race question asked, then whatever answer that player or coach gives is going to have the potential to go viral or to bring on more attention. I believe Mayo is the first black head coach for the Patriots. So as a journalist, that is a question you do just naturally. You have to ask that. You can't avoid that question. You can't avoid that. Like, that's just a part of the business. There's certain things where it's so obvious. It's like, as a journalist, I have to bring that up. Like, how does it feel to be black head coach?
But like, to Tank's point, like, don't you think it's an embarrassment on the person asking the question for the fact that we look at them like, you guys are ignorant, and ignorance is life-threatening? You have not a clue what this locker room entails. You have not a clue that we walk around in here and don't see color at a coaching standpoint or a player standpoint. But again, you have the Kimberly Martins of the world and these people that never been in a locker room. So they're asking questions that are straight up clickbait because they have no experience in this thing. And that is what's embarrassing to me.
So that part, that's the word we do disagree on. So like, and I know we kind of real brief had a quick conversation yesterday. I do think we see color though, like even in the locker room. But let me explain what I'm saying. So like, yeah, when we're in the locker room, white, black, Mexican, Asian, I had all white head coaches. My entire life playing football. So yes, from a standpoint of that, like do we care if you're white, black, orange, blue, green? No, I don't care. At the end of the day, we are all coming together for one common goal: to play the game that we love and to win games and have each other's back on that football field. We might not even like each other for real when we leave the locker room, but in that locker room, on that field, we are all brothers fighting for one goal. But with all that being said, I think we're all lying if we say we just don't see color. Because like, as simple as of a statement as it is, when you first see anybody, the first time you meet anybody, before you have a chance to shake their hand, ask them questions, have a conversation with them, the first thing you see, that's a white dude. That's a black man. And let's be real. We all have some sort of preconceived initial thoughts of what someone might be like before you even get a chance to meet them. So in my opinion, hear me out, everybody. I think everybody's prejudice. I'm going to be honest with you. I believe everybody's prejudice. I don't believe everybody's racist. And I think there's a different line between the two. Prejudice to me just means that you have a certain preconceived thought, notion, belief, etc. about someone based upon their physical appearance. And if we say we just don't see color, I think we're fooling ourselves, Now the question is, when you do see the color, how are you acting based upon that? And that's where it gets, tricky or whatever. But for the most part, in my experiences in the football locker room, yes, we see color. Yes, we see the differences in culture. You see the O-line over here got the country music blasting. They got dip on their mouth. They're chugging beers. We're at the pregame meal. They're trying to see who could take down the most clown chowder fucking bowls. You got the brothers over here, myself. We listen to, we got 2 Chainz and Wayne in the locker room, blasting music, doing everything. But we all come together and we mix our cultures and stuff together to make this perfect dish, so to speak, because at the end of the day, we all have the same goal. If we have the same goal, we can put everything else behind us, at least in the meantime or the short time, in order to accomplish that goal. But we still see color, and I think it's okay to say that. I understand the intentions when you guys say that, like, I don't see color. You're saying that I see the person for who they are. I don't see who the skin color. But that's not true, y'all. Like, we're not being honest. If we're saying, in my opinion, let me say, I don't want to. In my opinion, I don't think we're being honest when we say that, because I know I see color. I definitely see it. If I get hired, I get hired at Fox. I get hired at a job or whatever. I see people for who they are. If I'm as a black man, it's been times where I've been in meetings and stuff like that, and I'm the only brother in there. You don't think I don't notice that? Yeah, I notice it. It doesn't mean I'm about to act different. I'm aware. Damn, I'm the only brother in here. And I'm sure JB, because I know JB's where he's from. I'm sure it's been multiple times. He's been the only white dude in the room too. Shit, I mean, a couple times I done hung out with, it's been all brothers and Mexicans and JB. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying, like, it's okay to say I see it. It is a matter of how are you acting upon that, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't know. I look at it different, I guess, from a player's and a coaching aspect, because I don't think black players or white players look at the room and say, when we go home and talk to wife, friend, or son, we don't say, hey, Black Big Smitty is my locker room neighbor, is my locker neighbor.
Of course not.
Like, but that's what I'm saying. I think this kind of portrayed in this whole thing that's being put out there on social media. I think they're acting like they're stereotyping this thing more than I believe it's true. I don't think people go home and be like, now we know how we talk, like in the hood, especially. White boy. All
right now.
JB a white boy, but be a cold white boy.
Cold ass white boy. Come on now.
Like that shit is that shit to me is a different. There's a difference between culture and I guess race, in my opinion. Like there's a difference in this thing, and I think that the culture he's trying to set may not work. But by that being your first addressing, like I don't know if I would have went that route as my first addressing, only for this fact, in which you'll not see mainstream media, the Ryan Clarks and the Stephen A's of the world talk about. Because they're going to jump behind this thing and say, let's roll. But in fact, I've heard Ryan Clark's of the world advocate to get rid of an Anthony Lynn in San Diego for the Chargers as the head coach. He's a black head coach. But then turn around and say, we lack black head coaches. So I'm saying, well, which one is it? So they're going to back this saying, and either way, I'm not tripping on it. But here's the issue. Like, when they fire him as a good old boy, because that's what this is, what are you going to say then? What you know what they're going to say? That first press conference. When you go 2-15 next year, they're going to be like, well, it wasn't because you're 2-15. It's because why? We started off with saying this whole issue, which is a stereotype again, to my point. I think we stereotype this thing more than fact check. I think it's overblown. I don't think we go home and say my black teammate or my white teammate. We say my boy, my homie, Big Smitty. Like we don't say black Big Smitty, big white Matt.
No, you don't lead with that, but I do, and maybe you don't, but there's definitely been a lot of conversations where you might go home and just share like a story or something about a teammate that happened. And then after you share that, the follow-up question is, was he black or white? Was it a brother? Was he a brother? You know what I'm saying? Like that does come up. And again, I'm not even saying in the negative. I'm not even talking about in the negative. I'm just saying I think we're not, I don't know if we're being fully honest, just saying we just don't see it. Like
I just think that I think narratives get pushed by media, mainstream media, which I think pushes the common fan, the common human, even our own locker rooms now, which have become more divided than ever before, in my opinion. I think the locker rooms are more divided now than they ever would have been when Matt and I played. I don't think you could have done the things that are happening today. I don't believe Pickens could have not blocked for a running back and not been choke fucked in the locker room, not only by the offensive players, but by the defensive players we discussed earlier. That now is accepted because we're in the jersey swap era. And I think that has changed things because the media controls how we think now. I don't believe that people cared before. I really don't. I think we've made it a new big deal when a black head coach gets a job. I think now we push the shit out of it as we got our fourth one. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like before, it's like fuck. I don't think cats cared, but now I think we do.
I agree a lot with you saying, but just like being a black man, I guess for me, when you're the first in something, I do think it kind of matters. Now, to what extent, I don't know. At the end of the day, he's the first. It's not like he's the first black coach of the NFL. Period. That's a more bigger thing. You know, when you think about in baseball, you broke the color barrier. That was a big deal. First black president, big deal. You know, this is the first black coach of the Patriots, so it's not as big and broad. But I do think it's something where it's like, okay, like. I mean, the Super Bowl that when the coach played the Bears in 07,
yeah,
Tony Dungy, and that's a bit like we gotta talk. We gotta bring that up. Man.
Why is this now resurfacing as a big deal? That's my point. I think we're making it something that it's not. Like this guy is a guy that Bill Belichick drafted, coached, and mentored. A white man at 70 years plus.
Yeah.
Like, why are we now making it as this is like the first black coach ever that we've ever seen ever or something? Like, it seems like that's the narrative because it's New England. It's Kraft who goes and gets tie rubs. Like, that's where we are, in my opinion. Like, I think we're blowing it out of proportion to where now it's like we have to make sure that we know that we got a black head coach in New England. Like, we know, dog. We know.
I think it's blown out of proportion because of how he responded, though. If he responded with some like casual, like, you know what, hey man, no, it's an honor just to be here. You know what I'm saying? You know, something real, just political. I don't think we're even talking about this right now. I think the fact that he answered the way he did, that's why it's blown out of proportion. And I'm not a journalist at all. I will never claim to be that, but obviously I work with journalists. I understand it a little bit as well. There are certain questions that you just kind of like somebody had to ask that question. Like that's not a question you just avoid. You like you said, you do your fact check, you look at the history, you do X, Y, and Z. You notice that he is the first black head coach. It's just one of those questions you just ask, you know what I'm saying? It's just one of those simple questions. And again, if he does not respond the way that he does, I think we move on and we're moving forward without
Hey Matt,
worry.
Welcome in, Matt. You're right in the middle of our conversation that we're having. T-Rich hasn't come on, so I don't know if he's making it or not. I would love to talk to T-Rich about it. I talked to Tank about this last night. He said that during the Super Bowl, when he the biggest media grab ever, they were asking him question after question about race and dumb shit, and he was no matter how he answered it, he was going to be wrong. And they ask it for purpose. They do it now. I think it's even accelerated now. And we saw C.J. Stroud come out and basically said, I'm not really a black or a white quarterback. I'm a Christian quarterback. And then they vilify him for that. Or they want him to say he's a black quarterback. Like, I think we push the narrative like CJ don't give a fuck. And I think Matt comes in and he says, hey, man, I'm an atheist. I believe in what I believe in.
Facts.
CBS, though, edited his whole discussion and changed it all around. If you haven't noticed,
NFL season and a record-setting performance for you. What does this moment mean?
I mean, it's been amazing being in this city for as short as I've been. But first and foremost, I just want to give all glory and praise to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I mean, it's been amazing being.
So they cut it and they edited it, and it's like, again, to my first point of this whole thing on Mayo addressing the black and white thing, they're pushing the narrative that they want us to hear. Like, I don't think it's a big fucking deal either way, but I think they're making us force feed us whatever they fucking want us to have. Like,
well, it's a big deal if they censor it.
Yeah.
It's a big deal when CBS cuts off that. And as a godless heathen atheist, I totally agree with the other side that absolutely they shouldn't be thanking his Lord and Savior. Good for you, bro. Like, I'm glad that you've been blessed with faith. That's awesome. I haven't been. So look, the media in this country and the political systems in this country are in the business of pitting us against each other. And anything that brings people together, whether it's religion or sports or whatever, they're going to be decisive about. And this is just another thing. I mean, cutting that off it's almost like, I mean, they're almost complicit in whatever happens, because that's fucking with free speech. And like, it's essentially filtering what they think the public should and should not hear. And that's not the way this works in this country. Like, you're going to hear shit you don't like. You're going to have to deal with it. That's the way the United States works. It's called free speech. So, I mean, I really think we're on a slippery slope with all this shit, bro. Like, the whole race thing in sports and in general, and I say this as a white guy, but I agree with Coach JB, bro. Like, I've never in my life walked in and been like, this is my black teammate, George. Like, this is just my teammate, George. What the fuck? So it's, the media loves this shit because it's clickbait, man. It's the same as, it's the same as any moron that gets on Twitter or social media and starts talking shit. It's clickbait. It's an opportunity for every moron out there in the world to get on Twitter and feel important.
And I agree with Smitty too. Like, I believe there is prejudices out there. Everyone is prejudiced. I don't believe you have to be racist. I don't believe you can be prejudiced and not racist. I do believe that, but at the same time, I think prejudices create narratives that push an agenda. And I think that's where we used to stay away from, Matt. Like, everyone I ever knew in a locker room, we never really stayed away from that shit. But when you clown, I guess when brothers and white boys clown each other, your mama jokes and everything else from that point, the brothers would go in on me. I eat your bagel, motherfucker.
Real. Think about our show. We do black people shit. We do black people shit, white people shit. We're being funny, but where's that stemming from?
Well,
prejudice,
guys, it is funny,
right? Exactly.
Amongst friends and amongst people you're comfortable with, it's funny. Yeah. In the locker room, when we're all roasting each other, that's what the locker room is. That's 100%. What it is.
That's what used to tighten us up.
Yes, bro. If I was just getting ready to say that, if you're not making fun of me, if my homeboys and I are not roasting each other, and I'm talking about like ruthlessly roasting each other, like, there's some shit that we say to each other where you're like, oh God.
Now,
if that's not happening, I don't think we're really friends. Like, if you walk up to me and you're like, oh, Mr. McChesney, it's good to meet you. You're not my friend. It's phony. But if you walk up and you're like, hey, motherfucker, what's happening? Fuck you. And I'm like, hey, that's my dog right there.
You fat motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like,
now, having said that, here's the thing. Like, I don't know if people realize, like, on the other side of it, like, so, we're bullshitting or whatever in the locker room and all these different things. And we're saying these things. Have I seen or known racist motherfuckers to be on our team? Fucking right. And I know Tank has, and I know Matt, you have, I know you have, Smitty. And they either crime rises to the top. Like, or cream rises to the top. We're either going to figure you out real quick, or you're the guy that's always alone in the corner because the motherfucker knows he can't kick it with us because he's a fucking racist or whatever. And then we've already kind of set him to the side and he knows I'm not probably going to be on this team very long. Like, this ain't a fit for me. And then we know who they are. And if it's money involved, as Tank would say in the NFL, or you, Matt, are getting paid in this thing, now you're getting paid and have to live with this motherfucker, so to speak. Now you have a distinction or a dissension in your locker room of that's kind of what maybe the Eagles had this year or the Cowboys, whatever you see. That's when the teams that win it, though, are the teams that just happen to be that perfect run that year. And they have a locker room that's tight. They have a tightly knitted group, coaches, staff, everything. That's why 99.9% of teams don't win it every year, and one team wins it. Like, that's just is what it is. And that's in college, too. That Michigan team, you don't think that locker room was fucking tight?
Super tight.
So, I don't know. It is what it is. I think we're pushing these narratives, though. Big Matt, let's get into this. The Beast of the East will return. Sirianni and McCarthy look like they're both returning. I know we both talked about this on this whole week. Sirianni, you thought may be gone. McCarthy, we all thought may be gone. We went into a whole thing about it. Happy, disappointed, don't care. What do you think?
I mean, retrospectively, I could give a shit, but I'm not surprised. You know, Jerry Jones likes control, and he can control McCarthy for sure. And Sirianni just made a Super Bowl, and at one point was 10-1, and they were rolling. So, you know, Jeffrey Lurie is probably going on the side of, hey, I just saw a lot of positive, and maybe we can rekindle that with new coordinators, or maybe a couple of new tweaks to a system that already has shown that it pretty much works. They're a play away from, winning the Super Bowl. So, man, I don't know. I'm not going to ever sit here and say that people deserve to be fired. I mean, everybody has done something that they deserve to be fired over, I guess. But then at the same time, everybody has done something that deserves them to keep the job. So I'll tell you this. We're going to have the same conversation next year again at the same time. When Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys lose in the playoffs again next year.
Great point.
We're going to sit there and go, why did they keep Mike McCarthy? What's the point? All you're doing is going to go 11-6, 12-5, and have the same fucking problem.
All right, so what do we do in Dallas? Because McCarthy's coming back. Is that a telltale sign that we are getting rid of Dak?
No, Dak's not going anywhere. His cap number's too big. They can't just cut him. They're going to pay him anyway. So
they can't trade him or nothing. Is it like?
Yes, they could trade him, but who's going to bring on a 1-year, $55 million deal? Yes. Just let him play out his last year in Dallas, and if he's good enough, he'll be a free agent somewhere else. And if he wins in Dallas, they'll re-sign him. So those are the two options for Dak.
Only thing is, Jerry Jones ain't getting no younger, and obviously I'm not saying nothing. I hope he lives to a fucking 150, but I'm just saying he's not getting no younger. And we're basically just saying, all right, next year you're not going to win. You're not going to win Super Bowl next year either, because there's no. I'm gonna be real. We've seen enough of Dak. And I'm saying if your goal is to win a Super Bowl in Dallas, you cannot tell me with full belief that you're going to bring back McCarthy and Dak, that combination. And you're going to win the Super Bowl next year. You should figure it out.
Everyone else we've seen, too. We've seen the offensive line. We've seen Zach Martin. We've seen Smith. We've seen Micah Parsons. We've seen Gilmore. We've seen Bland. We've
seen CeeDee Lamb drop ball after ball when it counts.
We've seen Dan Quinn's defense. We've seen McCarthy's adjustments. We've seen Tony Pollard. We know exactly what they got coming back. They'll be good at home against bad teams. on the road against good teams, they'll lose close. That against great teams, they'll lose big. And when it comes down to nut cutting time, the Cowboys will wilt. This is what they do.
That's why I feel like
is this trade possible?
The NFC, bro.
Is the trade possible swapping Cousins and Dak?
Well, is it Cousins is unrestricted free agent?
He can go anywhere.
So they can't trade Kirk. Kirk's a free agent.
He gonna choose. He get to choose his team.
Yeah, Kirk gets.
I wonder if Minnesota would take on Dak, though, is my question. With that receiving core they have, with that receiver core, they may be like, I think
it would be better to put a veteran and Dak on the same team together rather than bringing in just Trey Lance and saying, hey, we might have you compete with him in the future. How about we bring in Kirk Cousins and say, whoever the best man is at the training camp's getting the job and the other guy's the backup.
That's a good point. What about,
push Dak Prescott and actually give him some competition in camp and see if he can actually win the job.
But what do you say to Cooper Rush and guys that went 5, 6, and 1? Who's a backup? You just cut him?
No, just be the third string guy. What the fuck? I don't say anything to him. I'd say Cooper Rush is not Kirk Cousins. Cooper Rush, you're our our emergency quarterback. You've been here forever. Just stay here. Go be the third string guy and hold the clipboard and shut the fuck up and let Kirk and Dak compete for the job. Well, Cooper's not going to say no. He's going to say thanks for the paycheck.
Kirk and Dak compete for the job. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think there's money.
I guess my thing is, does Dak Prescott think he's above competing for the job?
Yeah, and I don't think Kirk. I think Kirk wants to go somewhere he knows he's about to get paid, and he's gonna go. He's gonna start.
I think Kirk wants to go somewhere where he's gonna win.
Yeah, but I think he wants to get. He still Kirk. Don't Kirk get paid now though. Kirk
paid, bro. It's
Kirk always get his bread now. I'm just saying, like
no, quarterbacks don't. Quarterbacks aren't hurting for money. Like Jared Stidham got $11 million to be a backup. Like there, no quarterback on earth that's in the NFL is hurting for money.
Yeah, I'm just saying I don't think Kirk would want to go to Dallas and then fight for a spot with Dak and then be a backup and make backup money when I've been a starter pretty much my whole entire career for the most part.
You become a backup and then they slot you to backup money though. That's not how it works. He'll sign a contract with Dallas and make whatever he makes. I'm just saying it'd probably be better to have a little competition for Dak in camp if it's Kirk or whoever the fuck.
Right.
Rather than just having Cooper Rush and Trey Lance behind him, two guys that have no chance of taking his.
Put a fire underneath Dak. Make him feel like, I got you.
Yeah, let's see.
Trey Lance ain't helping nobody.
And Cooper Rush ain't either. Cooper Rush might win you a game or two during the regular season, but he ain't taking Dak's job.
Yeah. Too comfortable. I don't know.
Hey, that's perfect. There you go. That's it. The Dallas Cowboys are too fucking comfortable. Everything's too nice.
I think they have a bunch of overachievers. Yeah, underachievers, sorry. Yeah. I think they're a bunch of underachieving guys when it matters most. Big game. CeeDee Lamb dropped ball after ball. They have fucking Micah Parsons is a no factor in the run game. You got guys that just won't fucking fill a gap. Like they're all singular players. There's no team over there. Everybody wants the bag, and I think that's the problem we've created as Smitty and I started the show with. And to Ray Lewis's point, there's no more team tackling. There's no more team blocking for the running back. It's all I, me. Give me the bag. Let me go show you what I could do. And then when it's nut crunching time, guess what you do, CeeDee Lamb? You drop the fucking rock. Guess what you do, George Pickens? You fucking don't block for my running back. Like, this is where we are, in my opinion. This is why I just find it hard to watch the game. As I once used to love so dearly, as we all did. We still love the game, but I don't know if the fabric, like Tank Johnson says, is really there anymore.
I think that's true for the teams that don't win. For the teams that are in serious contention, the Ravens, they block their asses off. The 49ers, they block their asses off for each other. You see every receivers, tight ends, the teams who are truly contending for, like, seriously, they do all the things that you're saying. But the teams that are going to get knocked out in wild card or shitty regular seasons, they're the ones that are not blocking for each other, not playing for each other. So I don't think it's just the whole entire league just not blocking for each other.
Well, look, it goes back to college and what we talked about yesterday. It's not – there's no more together. Everybody's a merc. And when you're a mercenary, especially when you've been taught to be a mercenary since – I'm teaching my 14-year-old son to be a mercenary right now. Like he's being courted by high school teams. Like it's already started. Like it's what it is. So I don't know how you can be together if everybody's an individual. So that's been my problem with the players union forever. We're not really together. We're just in a union. Like, it's this is the way that the owners control the players is by splintering us. They know that together we're formidable. And they know that apart, and the way they keep us apart is with money and acting like we're all in competition with each other when in reality we're in competition with them. That's just the way it works.
Hey, Matt, I want to play a little clip for you. And what do you think? This is interesting because I said on Monday that after the Rams lost to Detroit, I said that there's another clip from another player that got injured by this certain player that actually made the play. And Matthew Stafford now has a soundbite out there, and take a listen.
Stafford flips his hips, wings one middle, bobbled, and cut down Tyler Higbee in dangerous play.
Stafford was not happy about the celebration by Kirby Joseph either.
Hey, that's a good hit. That's a good hit. You dirty as and you know it. You dirty as. It's been on tape. I've seen it. Hey, it's been on tape.
It's on tape.
You're right. You're right.
Now,
why is he dirty? Because the tight end can't get hit in the head?
No. So we talked about this. He did it to someone else, I guess, and blew out their ACL. And apparently there's players coming out in the league saying that the cat is known to do it. Other than as far as blind or whatever they call it now, defenseless, he's actually aiming for certain parts of the body. And now there's people saying it online and other places. That's what they're saying. So that's what I found interesting. That's why I want to get your take. He blew out ACLs this year. It is what it is. I don't know if he's dirty or not. I haven't watched him that much. I didn't even know who he was. So I'm not going to act like I know.
On my show and your show, I've heard Eric Weddle say, we can't hit them high. I'm going after their legs.
Weddle immediately hit me up and said, this is the problem right here. This is the problem.
What do you want the kid to do? Not tackle the guy and let them get the first down and let Higbee score, and then Detroit loses, and then what? Then he doesn't have a job? I'd rather be coined as dirty by fucking Matt Stafford. Who gives a shit what Matt Stafford thinks? I don't give a fuck if you think I'm dirty, dog. Go count your millions. Matt Stafford has a lot of balls running up to a young guy and telling him he's a dirty piece of shit when he's a soft-ass quarterback that barely gets touched. So
I don't know Stafford's soft ever, but
look, bro, you're not going to convince me any quarterback in this era is tough. Give me a fucking break.
I think he's older era, though. He ain't the young era.
Well, I'm not saying he's a pussy. I'm saying this is a bitch move to run up and villainize the guy for doing his job.
Throw
the fucking ball, Matt. Did you not see the corner sitting there in zone, gonna blow your fucking tight end up, idiot?
That is my fight. That's my point on the ball itself. Has to have some type of accountability. You threw the shitty ball, and this is the argument. This argument we've been having all year, though. Like Weddle and I talk about this all the time. The quarterback, if he throws a blow-up shot, should be fine too. This is going back to Tom Brady's point last year when he said the offense is the reason the defense is so fucked up because you're making horrible plays on offense and you're putting the defense in harm's way.
Let me ask a question. Are you supposed to run through zone or sit?
Sit.
So why is Higbee running through zones?
I don't know if I didn't see the play if it was man or zone or what.
Backside corner on shell coverage in 4. So they expanded back on shell coverage. They let him run through the zone with the linebackers. He cleared the linebacker. He threw him the ball in the corner, blew his ass up, or the nickel, whichever one it was. Now that guy's sitting there waiting for that throw. So they obviously game planned it. They knew they run crossing routes on that down and distance and circumstance, and they did. And Stafford threw Higbee into contact. And Higbee
I think that was a safety running downhill. I don't think it was a squatted corner.
Regardless of it, did he not see the safety? Does he not see the corner?
I don't know. I'm not giving Matt.
Is the quarterback accountable for throwing?
Yeah, that's my point. In this game of the current landscape of the game, I think there is no right in this situation anymore. And I think we start to
feel that.
Now we're turning the tide and starting to call out quarterbacks for bad throws where we've always have done it, but it never was a huge thing, right? Wideouts come back to my bad dog, fuck. We used to get guys blown the fuck up on especially in cutting routes, dig routes and shit where you used to be able to hit the guy. Yeah, that was a safety coming downhill or like you said.
I hate seeing knee injuries.
I mean, it is what it is. I don't know what you do. The league rules have allowed this.
Tackle.
No. I don't think it's dirty. I'm saying you've had every injury in the book, man. So I'm not talking to you, but
what the fuck?
You hurt your knees. I just hate seeing it. But it wasn't dirty. It wasn't dirty hit.
It's not dirty. The kid's not dirty. He's not a dirty player because he hit somebody in the knee. Where the fuck do you want him to hit him? Do you want him to catch the ball and then negotiate tackling him? Do you want to walk up and be like, Tyler, will you take a knee, please, so Detroit can win a playoff game? Give me a fucking break with all this, man.
Here's what Dan Campbell said.
A couple of hits he's made the last couple of weeks. Just wondering what you say to him, if you counsel him about his play style at all.
Nothing.
Or you
That's
how we play football here. Just keep your head up, see what you hit. You know, that'll always be what I tell Kirby. You know, just keep your eyes up so you don't hit on the crown of your helmet and, you know, you hit a spine, you know, you mess yourself up there. Just see what you hit. But no, I mean, he's going for the thigh board and you know, staying away from the head. And, you know, that's how we play defense here. We're not dirty. It's just, you know, we hit.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan. Remember when Dan said they were going to break off kneecaps? This is what they were talking about. The guy told you in his opening press conference they were going to bite kneecaps off. Well, 31's the biter. Higbee was the kneecap. That's what they're talking about. So
they didn't believe him, man. They didn't believe him.
Yep. When they say we're biting off kneecaps, this is what they mean. Don't throw your receiver into harm's way because 31's coming for your kneecap. That's the way this fucking works. And if you don't like it, you can watch. You can stand on the sideline and watch, and you can be the guy who's like, football is too physical for me, and I can't handle it. And I'm going to get hurt, so I don't want to fucking play. Shut up. You're going to look, understand something. Every football player and every parent watching, there's 1,000% injury risk. This is a collision sport. And if you don't like being hurt, you probably shouldn't fucking play.
Hey, Weddle has a question for you in the chat.
Hello, Eric.
Said, can you comment on the CU college kids missing workouts for some show?
No, fuck you. We already did this yesterday, and I got fucking persecuted for it again.
We would never do that at Ball State. I'm just letting that know.
So on Twitter, I'm like, holy shit.
On top of the fact that I met with Nebraska yesterday and got one of my guys offered, and people freaked out on me for that. Like,
I saw that.
I fucking worked for Colorado or something. I just played there 20 years ago, you fucking morons. Like, if you're really angry at me for this, you are a fucking idiot, man. I mean, I got no room for stupid, and you're the echelon.
All right, let's transition real quick. We got about 5 minutes, Matt. We got to get out of here. Let me transition to Alabama.
Fucking Weddle.
Nick Saban's come out and said he, even though people are leaving in the portal at a high number at Alabama, that they are still the standard, and the standard is not gone.
Love you, Webb.
What do you think about Bama and Nick Saban talking about a new coach's regime at his palace that he's built? They've had a lot of guys into the portal, and apparently Lane Kiffin's even chiming in, trying to kind of taking shots at DeBoer at Bama on Twitter, saying guys don't want to stay. They want to chase the Lamborghini. Where you at? Because apparently guy left Alabama. He said he was going to go to Texas and try out the Lamborghini, blah, blah, blah. I mean, we saw it yesterday with the Gucci or with the Louis Vuitton runway walk shit. This is the NIL now, I guess, right? Is this where we are?
Well, look, when your coach leaves, there's a 30-day window to enter the portal. But does that just open up the portal to those specific players? Because I thought the portal was closed.
So exactly. So right there, let me ask you, this has to change the game because there's way too much going on now. So Alabama is going to get persecuted for going on a run in the Final Four playoff and passing the portal window. And now their players can leave after all other portal players have been scooped up. So Bama has no one to scoop up now. How is that?
So all these kids are in their own individual transfer portal where like they're the only ones in it?
I don't know. I
thought the portal was closed.
I guess I said it wrong. My point is the portal kids worth of shit have already been scooped.
That's fact.
Alabama had no shot at it. Alabama never had a shot because they were playing in the playoff. And then their coach leaves, and then their players leave, and now you can't even return on your investment. You can't get no portal kid back. So how is this not I don't believe this has been something talked about yet.
That's a good point.
I don't think this has been talked about yet. I don't think this has been discovered yet. I don't think people have talked about it at all. And now there's a whole new can of worms that the NCAA did not fucking think about.
Think about Washington now, too. They lose DeBoer, a bunch of guys going in the transfer portal. Their entire roster is gone on offense and defense. Everyone gone, whether they're going to the NFL or they're entering the transfer portal. So I just look, bro.
You start laughing.
This entire situation is it's laughable to me. This has become like when you turn off the restrictions on NCAA football or on Madden, and you're like, there's no salary cap, there's no free agency, there's no contract. You can sign whoever you want. You can go, there's no trade restrictions. You can just turn the trade restriction off and go start trading motherfuckers. That's what this is. This is no restriction football in the NCAA. And I personally think the only way that it changes is for blue bloods to plummet. So Nick Saban leaves Alabama. I need Alabama to go 3-9 next year and get the shit kicked out of them and be awful and have everyone leave. So everybody in Tuscaloosa freaks the fuck out and goes, this is unfair. Because until the blue bloods start saying it's unfair, nothing will ever change because they're the ones that really run college football. And I was in here with Coach Rule yesterday talking about this, and he seems to think that they're going to break away from, there's going to be 60 some odd teams that want to do NIL and want to break off. And then there's going to be everybody else who wants to play college football under scholarship and do things their way. And they're going to play each other. And there's not going to be any more Colorado State, Colorado games. There's not going to be any more. There's going to be Colorado against Nebraska because they're in the 60, but Colorado State ain't getting into that. Wyoming's not getting into that, unfortunately. So that's interesting. I think
I've heard the same thing. That's going to be the final straw that breaks the camel's back, meaning the NCAA's got to go or shit or get off the pot. The NCAA now is going to they're going to either be extradited, get the fuck out. You're no longer part of this because you refuse to pay the players. NCAA, number one, you're the judge, the jury, and the executioner. So you can fine a coach, suspend a coach, but yet you're still not paying anybody. You have collectives doing it. But yet you're going to suspend Florida State and take away scholarships for a collective paying a kid, which you created.
Doing it everywhere. I mean, that's like all the things that Florida State got in trouble for. Once again, like if the NCAA ever came to me and they were like, you're in trouble, I'd be like, who are you again? You don't have any authority here. Go fuck yourself. I'm not listening to anything you say. Just like force me to be suspended. Force me to abide by your rules. I'm not going to do it. I will not abide by an unjust rule. That's the American in me. So I just, man, I don't know the answer to these questions. And to be completely honest with you, I think college football is really, really, really going to fucking regret all this shit, bro. Like, I just think it's going to get to the point where they're like, wow, we really opened a can of worms. And now we're dealing with like the egos of parents and 18 and 19-year-old kids. And we've raised an entire generation of men who can't fucking finish anything and can't overcome adversity. Like, I didn't learn how to play football when I went to Colorado. I knew how to play football. I learned how to overcome adversity and be a fucking man at the University of Colorado because I didn't have the option to just quit and go somewhere else. Yeah. So if I made a mistake or I did something wrong, I had to fix it. And I had to move forward with the bet I made. And now you can make your bed and say someone else laid in that motherfucker, and they'll believe you, and you can just leave and go make another bed. And if that doesn't work, leave and go make another bed. It's always someone else's fault these days rather than the individual. And that right there is the epitome of the coward mindset that dominates the world these days. Everybody's got a fucking finger to point. It's always someone else's fault. There's no accountability. There's no consistency. People are straight pussies, and everybody just wants a fucking handout. No one's pointing the thumb anymore. Everybody's pointing the finger, and that's the problem.
Yeah, good point. Matt, are you on 0 to 60 at 10?
No, we're off today. We'll have Adam Munster-Tiger on tomorrow, who does a great job covering the Bucs. I got my kids doing a shadow today, and I got to go pick them up at the time of the show. So we're off today, but we'll be back tomorrow here at 8 a.m., and then we'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. with Adam to talk Buffs and transfer portal and all that shit, and we're rolling. So have yourself a great day, boys, and peace.
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 Big Matt, we go straight to Steve. Kim, Steve, what up?
Woo! Morning. What's going on, Steve?
Morning. Hey, what's your take? This is something I don't think the NCAA has thought about or really dove into, and I brought up a point that I didn't really think about, but Alabama's going to get crucified, in my opinion, when their coach leaves after they make a Final Four run later than everyone else. Their portal kids obviously leave because they lost a coach, and now they can't get any of the big fish in the pond, so to speak, because they've already been caught. How does this now play a role in a team that changes coaches this late in the game, especially a Washington and an Alabama? actually trading coaches, by the way, and actually making to the Final Four. These two teams can really, I can see them really struggling this year just on lack of talent.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know if you could really fix it. I mean, when you don't allow any type of restrictions on the transfers to sit out, there's no real impediment. You know, look, if I'm the colleges, what I do now is, and Nick Saban does not apply because he retired, I would literally tell coaches, you want to be my coach, you're great. If you want to leave before your contract's up, you owe us $1 billion. How bad do you want the job? That's it. Lock in the coaches. Lock in the coaches. You motherfuckers talk about commitment. Starts with you. Starts with you. Be the man that you want your young men to be.
Ooh, he's preaching.
Yeah,
I am sick and tired of coaches saying, hey, you know, we're here for the long haul. And 2 weeks later, they're going, wait a minute. I think everyone should have a great opportunity to better their situation. But these coaches are incredibly hypocritical. Like, I'm a little bit disappointed in Jed Fish. I think he had a better team at Arizona than what he's going into at Washington. But again, he wanted to play big boy ball in the Big Ten instead of the Big 12. So I get it. But I'm sure he told a lot of those guys like Fatita and T-Mac, hey, guys, we're building something and we can be in the national title race, and I can't wait to do it. And then all of a sudden, they're coachless in Seattle, and then he's gone. I mean, I don't know. I think there's a lot of coaches that were better off staying where they were.
Yeah. Saban's a little different. He retired, so the program itself is going to suffer from that, catastrophe, so to speak. And I don't know if the NCAA really put this into play. That they think this deep, say, oh, if guy retires after 40 years of coaching, what do we do then when there's no one else to fish out of the pond in the portal because everyone's already been caught? I think that is a huge thing. And I think a blue blood like Alabama having like Matt said, maybe go a 3-9 season, I think may change something because there is no more portal kids to get. I mean, there's nobody else to get. So Alabama loses 30 kids. What do? I don't know if the NCAA's thought of this.
Well, of course they didn't. When they capitulated, when they said players can transfer more than once, and then players didn't have to sit out a year, what did they expect was going to happen? I mean, there used to be a time where you couldn't transfer within the conference. Universities or programs could say you could transfer it except to these 3 schools. I don't know if that was really fair, but you open up the floodgates to this degree, you are going to create anarchy. And that's what you have. And it's kind of hard to follow. I don't follow it as much as I did even last year. It's pretty tiresome because here's the reality. Your guys can even enter the transfer portal after spring ball. So even going into spring ball, you don't even know if that's really your team. So it is what it is.
Yeah. The ACC files a lawsuit against Florida State. Florida State just continues to stay in harm's way, I guess. They're taking strays every which way, or they're taking valid bullets. I don't know what it is, but they tried to get out after they got snubbed. People think they got snubbed, or they think they got snubbed. I don't. And unfortunately, they went out. Now the ACC is saying, screw you. We're going to sue you now for suing us for a basically breach of contract, that the leagues had contractually. Where are you at with this? And does the ACC, is this the beginning of the end of that conference as well?
Well, the ACC does not seem to have great long-term forecast here. Look, this is a situation of you're fired. No, I quit. I think every other school in the ACC that wants to make football a priority is probably looking at Florida State and hoping that they do find a way to escape. Because once that happens, my feeling is the floodgates open. So the ACC is not going to be here for long, guys. They're really, like, in 10 years, will there be a league? I don't think so.
I think it's going to go independent. I think it's going to go independent or some sort of group of 5 group that is out of the NCAA. Like, NCAA will not have a say on this thing, in my opinion, but it is what it is. I don't know. Baker Mayfield responds to the Lions. Look, I know you like the Lions. I know you like MCDC. their DBs, hit Higbee, Matthew Stafford. We just showed a clip of him talking to the Joseph cat saying, I think you're dirty. I've seen you on film. You blow out knees. You like to hit low, blah, blah, blah. Weddle's come on and said, what the hell do you want us to do? We can't hit you high, so we're going to go low. I think the NFL's created this. Baker went on and said basically
Baker, not sure if you saw or not, but the trash talk has already started. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson said this would be a good Bucs group if they had a starting quarterback. What are you got to say about that?
I don't think he's really watched film because he mentioned Russell Gage. We love Russell, but Russell hasn't played a snap all year for us. He must be going off.
Basically, he said, I'm gonna talk my talk. I'm gonna do my. The point of this is every time Baker's talk shit, he has been atrocious the next week. I just want him to stay quiet and do what he's been doing. Don't screw this up, Baker. You have a chance to get paid. You got a chance to get paid next year. Is he screwing this up? Are the Lions gonna just? It seems like they're walking into like the Lions may be in the NFC title game, man.
Well, the game's at home. It's an unexpected home game, thanks to the Dallas Cowboys. And I do think Detroit's a better team, but their secondary allows a lot of big plays. Look, Baker's Baker. He's a fiery guy. It doesn't always work in his favor, but he's played well. I think he's actually solidified himself as at least I don't know if it's the future of the franchise, but very much the present. Yep. I'd stick with him if I'm Tampa Bay. He's led you to a playoff. He won a game for you in the postseason. But my understanding is that the ticket prices for that particular game are skyrocketing. That this might be the biggest event they've had in that city
since the Pistons. Since the Pistons.
Yeah, I mean, they've had Super Bowls there. I know they've had Final Fours and stuff like that. But Detroit has a real home field advantage, though. Those fans are pretty rabid. Dan Campbell's done a great job of galvanizing that city. And I still think they're a year away. They kind of remind me of the 91 Cowboys that got beat by Detroit. They went 11-5. They went to Chicago, won a game there, and then Barry Sanders and Eric Kramer just swamped them. But what the big key is, the next year they got Charles Haley. Detroit kind of needs secondary help and probably another bookend to Aiden Hutchinson. I still look at the back end of their defense, and they're very, very vulnerable. And if you look at Tampa Bay, what do they have? Mike Evans, future Hall of Famer. Godwin is a real playmaker. He made up a couple plays. They have that young guy that scored that touchdown on the crossing route.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to be an easy game, but I do think Detroit moves on, believe it or not, to the NFC title game.
Yeah,
I agree.
Baker didn't start it, Smitty. I think
no. The actual press conference that it led was saying, hey, the trash talk from Detroit has been, coming. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson said if you guys had a quarterback, the Bucs would be a really good team. That's what he said. So Baker, I have no problem with him responding.
Baker should have said, yeah, and if Detroit would have better defensive backs, they'd be in the Super Bowl. Oh, anyway.
You know what I mean? Mic drop. I love it. I'm not going to lie.
Hey, Steve, not in the boxing world, but the MMA realm. This guy has come out and obliterated a Canadian reporter yesterday. I loved it. I reposted it. I don't know how much we can show, but we'll show a little bit. This guy lives in Corona. I've actually reached out to try to get him on the show. The Strickland. I don't know much about MMA, but he called out this
supportive gay and lesbian community in this city. I did want to ask you about something you wrote a couple of years ago. You said if I had a gay son, I would think I'd.
Oh, look, another. I'm saying to you, the swamp, you guys, the swamp.
You become a champion, you become a star, and someone. Say,
let me ask you something. Are you gay?
Have you had the chance to interact with a more diverse?
Are you? Let me know. Are you gay?
Could I get an answer?
Well, no, I'm asking. This is a part of. Are you a gay man?
I'm an ally of the community.
Okay. If you had a son and he was like, you had a son, he was gay, you'd be like, oh man, you don't want a grandkid?
No problem with it.
Oh man, well, dude, you're a weak fucking man, dude. You're part of the fucking problem. You elected Justin Trudeau. Like, would
I think he's telling the truth. I like that there's a truth. Is 2024 the year of the truth tellers? Like, I'm starting to see more and more people say, fuck it, I'm just gonna tell. Pat McAfee calls out ESPN. We saw. Smitty and I call each other out, and I'm trying to figure out: is this the Cat Williams? Is this the year we finally say enough is enough?
Well, look, this is what I hate when certain journalists try to turn into activists. By the way, that is shameful. I think that reporter is a crouching tiger. What a sad day for our people. What a sad
Is
day.
he?
Yes, because I saw his timeline, and his pinned tweet is trans women are women. That's his pinned tweet. So obviously he has an agenda. What I don't like about this, and I've never been guilty of this, you try to leverage or guilt someone into saying things that they do not believe by putting them on the spot. And Sean Strickland said, nope, I want to turn it around on you. And I love the fact he didn't get defensive. He got offensive. And he just said, look, this is my thoughts. I hate your thoughts. What you're teaching is demonic and it's wrong. But you're not changing my mind. I loved it. I really did. Because, first of all, I'm not even so sure what in the world does that have to do with the price of tea in China. What's that got to do with the promotion? The guy has certain beliefs. Like, I can go up to any boxer and before a fight, hey, 3.5 years ago, you said something about this political. What type of jabroni do you think I'd feel like if I did that? Seriously.
We started the show with this, with the Gerard Mayo comments and everything, and Smitty and I talked about it, but to your point, this is what the media is pushing. This is the narrative. It has nothing to do with nothing. Why are we asking? Smitty and I talked to Tank Johnson, we talked to Weddle, we talked to Matt. Nobody in the locker room gives a shit. Like, why are you asking these race-baiting questions? Why are you asking these controversial political questions to get us to say something so you can get followers and likes? That's really what it is. And it's crazy to me. Speaking of offensive, one of your guys is speaking defense. Lawrence Taylor's come out on a podcast with Tom Brady, and they kind of got into it about the rules being changed and why the play has digressed, as somebody has been saying for a while. Take a listen.
That people don't know about Randy. Randy was the guy. He gave you tough love.
Oh, sorry. It's not the right video, Bailey. Not the right video. Can you find the Lawrence Taylor, Tom Brady video I sent you? That was Edelman, though, Steve. I want to ask you, Randy Moss, God bless his soul, has come out and basically told Edelman, here, little guy, you need some money in your pocket so you can walk into the wide receiver room here at New England that's 18-0 this year and have some credibility and buy them a fucking hamburger. And Edelman was young, broke. Randy Moss shot him some money. Shout out to Randy Moss for doing that. But Randy cries on ESPN, and I lost it for him.
So he gave him straight cash, homie.
Straight cash, homie.
By the way, I want to ask players this. Do you think it's right to have rookies pay for these exorbitant meals?
I know, $25,000.
This is something that, again, I know it's cultural and stuff, but if you're going to tell me about how we have to save for our future generations, how we have to own stuff, we need to be more responsible, and all of us, some of us are broke as we leave the game, here's what you should do. Stop having people pay for meals that go for $50,000 at a steakhouse, and actually tell that rookie, put that into a T-bill.
What do you call it?
Honestly, I actually find those stories to be kind of like, this is a stupid thing to do.
It's kind of
hazing.
young
rookie, hey, come here, kid.
Hazing now without hitting you. It's hazing without punching you, right?
Yeah, and if I was a veteran, because I would actually say, kid, come here. You're not buying me a meal. You're not buying me anything. In fact, I'll tell you, that car that you're buying, it's the worst investment you can have. Buy some land. I'm reading Edgerrin James's book, and it's a really interesting book. And he basically said, look, I found out something about real estate, because he's really, like, Edgerrin's making a lot of money. And he found out something very key. It's not just enough to be a business owner that owns a club. He says, no, the secret is to buy the land that's on the club. Right. If you only own the club, you are a tenant. And he said, I specifically wanted to do two things. Number one, to buy land to help my family. Okay. But number two, I wanted to buy land to start businesses and commerce to help my people, black people. Yeah. You know what? He's actually done it. He's not just complaining and whining and hashtagging. He's actually said, here's my money that I saved through discipline, and I'm going to do this. And you know what's funny? No one talks about it. Why? I just find that whole thing to be like, Edgerrin to me is amazing, and no one will talk about the story.
It's dope. It's dope for sure. No, I love it. And then it's funny. Back to your rookie dinners, I've heard some horror stories as well, but I also have heard some current players where like a lot of times for social media, they'll like play tricks on some of the young guys. The bill will come out saying $75,000, but in reality, the meal costs $5,000 or whatever. And they're just trying to scare them for, clicks and stuff like that. But there are some real stories. Sean Merriman, I had him years ago, like an interview I did on. He was like, at one point I had one of the highest, rookie dinners of all time, and it was 50-something. I'm like, yeah, that's crazy.
Kobe actually made somebody pay because he was fucking around. Kobe made a rookie pay like 50 grand. But that's Kobe, the greatest player of all time. Jordan, number 2. Steve, I love throwing shots because Miami's a basketball school now, and that's why I wanted to talk about basketball. Just kidding. I'll never talk about basketball with Steve. Steve, 2 things happened last night. The Beast in the East looks like it's returning. Nick Sirianni and McCarthy look like they're returning. We started the show off by asking the question, can they redo this, or are we sitting here talking about the exact same shit next year at this time, which we will be because the Cowboys will cowboy. There's no way you can return McCarthy and Dak, is there?
It looks like they are. I mean, look, Jerry's a loyal guy to a fault. He also likes people that will understand what this job is. You're going to have an owner that's going to act like the coach, who's going to hover over you, who's going to be in the spotlight a lot. Like I talked about a couple days ago, the weekly press conference, him acting as if he's an extension of the coaching staff. That does not grate. That grates on people. It really does. As for Sirianni, boy, Philadelphia wants him gone. I was watching a couple of shows that covered the Philadelphia Eagles. One was Seth Joyner, who was a great linebacker. Seth flat out said, I'd blow it up. And Seth predicted this 2 months ago that this thing was actually broken when they were 10-1. I give him a lot of credit. He's the most outspoken guy of any former NFL analyst or a player that turned analyst that I've heard in a very long time. I just think, again, it's easy to say we're going to replace our coach. Okay, that's the easy part. The difficult part is saying, okay, how do we upgrade? Who do we upgrade with? Who's actually out there? See, that's the question. Unless you're getting Bill Belichick with perhaps a hot tub time machine, I don't know exactly who are the guys out there that Philadelphia and Dallas can realistically get right now.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough, man.
Well, this is the question I have, though. I'm not surprised at McCarthy. I think McCarthy's a good-ass coach. I've been saying it for a while. He won with Aaron. He's developed quarterbacks. Dak had a much better year this year than what he did with last year underneath the guy that basically screwed over Herbert as well, in my opinion. But let me ask you this. Did he save his job by telling Jerry, hey, listen, you saw Dak's improvement, MVP numbers. Just imagine another year with me. Or did he go in and say, listen, you see what I can do with him. Imagine me with Kirk Cousins or someone else. I don't know.
You know what the reality is, though? I think they have to retool that defense. They have a lot of guys that want to pin their ears back and play, I wouldn't want to say flag football, but they don't want to earn the right to rush the quarterback by playing the run. They are not physical enough with war daddies up front. Micah Parsons, I think he has to be very honest with Micah Parsons flashes a lot. He makes a lot of plays. For this generation, he's a Pro Bowl, all-pro caliber guy. But down to down, does he scrape against the run well enough? Do they have an inside plugger? Because the way they got gashed against Green Bay was alarming. And also, they got to get some linebackers. Their linebacker play was terrible. They really was. And I know they had that injury to Leighton Vander Bosch, and that really hurt them. No one really talks about that enough. So they got to work at that front seven, getting more physical. Okay, so it's not just the offense, but there's also the argument that, hey, Jason Garrett got a full decade and probably had less success than McCarthy.
I said the same shit.
He did have less success. I mean, I don't know. I think McCarthy's a good coach, Super Bowl champion. I just think that you can't bring the exact same foundation next year and tell the world that you're trying to win a Super Bowl. If you bring back McCarthy and Dak together and with all the majority of the same core pieces, you're telling the Cowboys nation, you're telling all of us that you're okay with being a a 10 to 12 win team every single year and falling short in the playoffs. Because we've seen it. There's no signs that's telling me that the combination of McCarthy and Dak, or Dak and whoever, is going to lead to even an NFC championship, let alone a Super Bowl. And that is supposedly the standard for Dallas. Jerry Jones isn't getting any younger. So I just feel like, man, you keeping Dak and McCarthy another year, that's just a wasted year, because they're not winning Super Bowl next year. I know. I can tell you, I will put any money on it right now for next year. If Dak's going to be there with McCarthy, I guarantee they're not winning Super Bowl. So I just don't get it.
Well, think about this. Brad Johnson won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl.
Amazing defense.
Flacco
won a Super Bowl.
He balled out in the playoffs.
What's his
Rich
name?
Gannon made a Super Bowl, and he was a journeyman for about the first decade of his career.
Mm-hmm.
Who replaced Carson Wentz?
Nick Foles. So keep this in mind.
Balled out.
So those
I'm with you, but
saying their name is one thing, but the context matters. Nick Foles balled the hell out. If I was an alien and I never watched football and I came here just for that Super Bowl, I would have thought Nick Foles was the best quarterback in the NFL. So like Joe Flacco, he threw like no picks, had 7-8 touchdowns during that playoff run. He played like an all-pro during those playoffs. When the playoffs come for Dak, he shrinks.
I'm with you, but I also think Dallas cannot just look at Dak as the hot button. I know it's easy. I'm just telling you, they got to work at that front seven.
I agree.
Defensively, they got to get some guys. They're going to be much more stout against the run.
They tried to last year. They drafted the big fella from Michigan. Was it Mozzie Smith? I think something.
Yeah.
But I don't know where he's been at. So they tried to do that, but I
By the way,
tried again.
Did Micah put out his podcast? I might have to listen to that this week. No, I'm serious. Did he put one out?
Yeah. And he talked about Dan Quinn. Talked about Dan Quinn on it.
Huh. Okay.
It's a joke. So transferring to the least, I call it the least of the East, Sirianni and the Jalen Hurts debacle, along with A.J. Brown. I mean, what's going on there, we don't know. But obviously they had one of the worst declines in recent history, in my opinion. I didn't think they were firing him. He's already out looking for coordinators. I think he looked he looked like a bad manager of grown professionals.
He did.
As the season ended. And that's how I best put it. I don't know if coordinators are going to help him. If they respect the guy? Fletcher Cox seems to say so yesterday in an interview. If they respect him, it's one thing. If they don't respect him, coordinators aren't going to change anything.
Yeah, and I wonder, has Jalen Hurts already hit his ceiling? Has the league figured him out? I mean, because I was watching some old videos. Let's take a look at what Jalen Hurts really was. He was a guy that had some success at Alabama, but he was benched in the championship game. That's when Tua came in and hit Devontae Smith on that big shot, right?
Yeah.
So then he was the backup his last year and then was a really effective quarterback under Lincoln Riley's quarterback-friendly offense. And then drafted. He was not a first-round draft choice. I think it was a second or third round. And had a magical year last year. Could have won the MVP. But for most of his career that we've known of the name Jalen Hurts, he's been good to solid, right? He's always been good to solid. He's reliable. He's tough. He's physically strong. Pretty good athleticism. But one thing, and you guys pointed this out, Coach, he doesn't throw the ball on time with anticipation, and that limits an offense. And if you don't have that running game where everything is 2nd and 2 and now everything can work, you have a real issue, because getting 8 yards of carrying the National Football League on a consistent basis is very, very difficult. Because when I look at Jordan Love and C.J. Stroud, I look at guys that could throw with anticipation and they're always throwing on time. And with Jalen Hurts, it looks like he's kind of looking, and he has to absolutely be sure that a guy is open before he pulls that trigger.
Steve, before you get out of here, if you're a betting man, who do the Seahawks hire? They've given the GM one directive and then one directive only. They said, John Schneider, you now run the show.
Huh.
You are now finding the coach. You're firing the coach. You're hiring the coach. All these different things. Who do they go after? Who's the best fit on a pretty decent roster, I say. I think they're pretty close on the verge of a playoff team. I think Geno declined a little, and I don't think you're getting the most out of those receivers that you should be getting, in my opinion. I think you have a great running back. I like the running back. I like the O-line got better. The defense has to shore up, we know. But do you hire an offensive guy or a defensive guy, I guess, is always the question now in the NFL.
I haven't heard much about the Seattle thing, not that I've really researched it, but is Dan Quinn in the running given his background there?
He interviews today.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that'd be a popular pick. A lot of nostalgia there, going back to the Legion of Boom
I like
days.
Vrabel, Steve. I like Vrabel personally.
Look, Vrabel to me, I tweeted this yesterday. Vrabel, I think, would be really good for Dallas. You want to get a guy that's going to give a physical identity to that team where everyone has to be really tough on both sides of the line of scrimmage, and it'll be no nonsense. Here's the problem. Vrabel is one of those guys. He would actually, one of these days, if Jerry Jones says something he doesn't like, he would flat out, he'd get annoyed by that shit. You could just tell. Vrabel's not playing that game.
Let me ask you this. Could you ever see a Belichick taking the Falcon job, which it seems to be leading down that road that he takes? Do you think it's beyond the realm of possibility that Pete and him team up for 1 year and Pete goes to be his D coordinator?
No.
Never.
No.
Never.
That's not.
JB's wishing and hoping right now. He wants all the legends to come together.
I want to see greatness last for 1 year, Steve.
You think it'd be possible Nick Saban will come over there, be the special teams coordinator and the D-line coach, and we can get Pete Carroll.
Hey, Steve. Steve, in all honesty, though, what I did hear last night is this, and I'm curious to hear from Weddle today when we text him. I've heard that Ron Rivera will replace Quinn in Dallas as the DC, and then I hear Quinn will either get whatever jobs available out there, Seattle, whatever. But did Dan Quinn not kind of piss down his leg and ruin the opportunity to be a head coach? Like, is he a shoe?
Oh, he sharded all over. He sharded all over.
Like, is he going to get a head coaching job, I guess? I
mean, that's one of the worst defensive performances I've ever seen from alignment, run fits. And look, boy wonder LaFleur schemed his butt off. He really did. Then the play action stuff. I mean, you had guys who were walk-through wide open. In other words, they were so wide open, it looked like a walk-through against air. It was one of the most poorly constructed defenses you could ever ask for. You gave up 48 points, and Green Bay actually let up. They could have dropped a 50 spot. Just think about that. Yeah. So, do I think Dan Quinn's stock dropped a little bit? Yeah, of course it did. You gave up 48 points to the youngest team in NFL playoff history at home. That's never a good look.
Yeah.
Probably wasn't locked in. Dan Quinn probably was thinking about the next game. I think the whole team walked into that game just thinking it was going to be a cakewalk and everything about the next game. And you take your foot off the gas, and that's what happened. So, no, I think he definitely hurt his stock. But at the end of the day, man, I don't think one game will outweigh the entirety of the season. I think he did enough during the regular season to still, get an interview. And if he interviews well, I think he'll get an opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. It's very interesting to see the least. Steve, what you got going this weekend? Palooza?
Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm kind of battling this cold, so I may have to stay home. I'll let you know.
Yeah, let me know. Are you drinking the Crouching Tiger tea?
Yeah, I'm drinking a little ginseng tea. What else?
Ooh, you'll be healed like it's in no time.
Hey, you got to do a hottie toddy, Steve.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some menudo later today in Montebello, so I'll be all right. I'll be good.
I haven't seen or had menudo since the band dropped.
Oh, those guys, yeah. But the menudo in Montebello, there's a couple spots that have it daily, so I'll be going there later today before I hit
Put a warm towel on your head, man.
Yeah,
eat some ramen. It'll be good.
I gotta come out. You're always I see you post all the time at trainees. I gotta come see you at trainees. I have to see Phil.
Yeah, Phil's doing well. Phil's always beleaguered working there by himself, poor guy. But yeah, Phil trainees is great. I'll let you know when we're going next time.
All right, Steve. I'll see you next week if I don't see you this weekend.
All right, Smitty.
All
Go
right, peace.
Mick, Smitty, there's a lot going on here. We might have to end the show a little bit early because I got these cats working on my heel.
It's happening. It's officially happening.
Mexicans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Shout out to Baby Girl NYC. She said, I'm so happy to be able to catch the show today. You guys are always great. If you agree with Baby Girl NYC, send us a super chat right now. $10 and up right now.
Hey, it's Smitty's birthday tomorrow. We need 2,500 so Smitty can get 500 of it. We need.
Hey guys, it's my birthday tomorrow. I'm turning 30 years old. If you guys like my voice, the way I am speaking to you right now, directly to the mic, go ahead and send me just a quick super chat, man. I'm turning 30 is a big time in my life. You know, big time of just change, maturity, growth, and we would definitely appreciate that for the birthday.
Speaking of the same thing, yesterday's video went pretty viral with Big Matt and Shadur Sanders walking down the runway. The calm voice seemed to be settling, and it really, really enthused a lot of people who thought I was going to yell and go off. But my calm voice and calm-natured voice really soothed a lot of people, and it allowed a lot of new listeners to join in and think that JB has a teddy bear side of him, which he does. And we are going to need $2,500 tomorrow just for Smitty to get him out of the hood. And calming voices actually create soft fucking asses. Miss me with the bullshit. You aren't going to hear me, Eddie Manyweather, you fucking cowgirl fanboy. Cowgirl fanboy. That is cold business right there. We need to use that. Cowgirl fanboy. Yeah.
There we go, Joe. There we go, Joe. Yeah. We all love Baby Girl NYC. Time to go play Weatherman. Weatherman, smash the like button. Okay, we got $20 from Joe Core. $20. Anybody got 25, 25, 25, 25, 30.
It's so big Smitty 20. Oh, that's a bad way to say it.
Right.
Hey, did we got some new shit?
Oh, we got Julian. Happy birthday, appreciate you, Julian D93. I appreciate you, my brother. $10.
We got a new segment. What
we got? You ain't telling me about a new segment.
I know, because we don't talk. It's called Soft Woman Shit.
Ooh, soft. So it's SWS.
SWS.
I like that.
That I got. A lot of people got something to say.
Hold on. Let me get we got to listen to this.
A lot of people got something to say about the fact that I got 6 kids with 6 different men. So I'm just going to tell y'all why it is better to do it this way. If I had 6 kids with all the same dude, I get 34% of his income, which is only $680 a month. If I got 6 kids with 6 different dudes, I get 17% from each one of them, which is $340 a month from each one. $340 a month times 6 baby daddies is $2,040. So why don't you have 6 baby daddies?
with the sound effect at the end.
Is it? Come on, man. We saw the brother yesterday do some black people shit. He had 5 baby mamas all together. She hyped on $2,040.
But JB, understand this though. I know we in LA, so that's like that ain't shit. But the cost of living in some of these Midwest places, man, like back home Indiana, if you making that, you good. You good. That's so mad. Lucy funny as hell. Listen, I had a beautiful 2 fucking floor condo. It was a townhouse, beautiful in Carmel, Indiana, which is one of the nicest cities in America. Is voted like top 5 every single year for like $1,200 a month. Beautiful, hella space, 2.5 baths, 2 bedroom, fireplace, back porch for $1,200 before I moved out here. So my point being is, depending where you live at, that $2,040, that shit can get you places. That's all I'm saying, man. And shout out to, was that Baby Girl? Money coming in crazy, right? Shout out to Baby, because she was my favorite people on the show. She real. She give you advice. My brother Mo Garrett on the motorcycles leaning to the side. Shout out to Mo Garrett. We almost at 2,200, I think. We need about 1,800 left. We be good.
We got some BPS, some black people shit. Big Smitty, go. Black people shit brought to you by BPS. Take a look.
Found a video this weekend that I have to show you. Andy, could you show Joey the video that I found? It might be the best thing I've ever seen on YouTube.
Coughing and shit.
Do I got to put glasses on? Or you hear the
No,
fuck
you're
me cocksucker?
It's a crackhead chucking competition.
That's black on black crime, dog.
Wait till you see this one. Look at this. Look at the muscles on this guy. And the guy just lets him throw him. And then the guy comes over to like measure it. Oh my God.
The measuring part is black people shit.
It is, man.
That motherfucker came out and measured how far they threw a crackhead, homie. Come on. You think is that real talk or jaw jacking? I think is that clicks?
I think it's a combination of both.
There's a dude getting thrown to the ground, homie.
That's real.
Regardless of what you think.
Nah, right. It's like you can't fake that. I think it's real. I think they also know they're going to get clicks, but it is real in the hood, bro. We ain't got a lot, so we gonna make the most of what we got. And I didn't invent all types of games and shit off of just very minimal resources. So that was their way. That was their version of the hood combine. You know what I mean? They were trying to. That was their version of the broad jump, the broad throw. They wanted to see. Shout out to Doug Parks, man. I like the glasses, Doug. Man, he swagged out. Appreciate the support, man. Eddie Manyweather with the big time payment, 99-cent super sticker. Shout out to my brother Eddie Manyweather. As he's struggling with the Cowboys, he still found the time to sing your brother a birthday 99-cent. That's what I'm talking about, Eddie. No excuse. No excuse. He gonna leave 99, wherever he got, he sent to me. I appreciate that. Lucy Lou, Chick-fil-A on her. I'm gonna give me a motherfucking chicken burrito, some hash browns, and an orange juice because oh my God, becoming a new me. It's a new member. Listen, man. Is this where the Cowgirl support group is mean? Yes, it is. Every Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. Pacific. Joe Accord, he gave me 30 for 30, JB. Keep being you, big dog. We all respect the shit out of you. Now move out your stores. Like, oh my God, big Mike.
It's your birthday tomorrow, dog.
You going crazy.
So guess what? None of this counts for Smitty.
No, I said, dude, it's my birthday.
This all my money. Tomorrow's whatever you get tomorrow is for you.
It's my birth week. My mom was fucking. My mom water broke just now. She in the hospital right now preparing for me. It's the whole situation. Her water broke today.
Keep sending the money, fellas, because nobody gave 99 cents, but Eddie ain't won.
The water broke today. Motherfucker, I was born tomorrow morning. I didn't leave the hospital until Saturday, so that's 3 days of celebration. Come on now.
Hey, real talk or jaw jacking?
Game has changed a little bit. You know what? Hey, I like the era that I played in because if I was playing nowadays, I probably wouldn't last the game because of the thing we do.
You think you'd get thrown out, or you think you'd conform to the rules?
Have you ever known me to conform to anything? No, I would get thrown out. I mean, yeah, I would. It's been hard for me to play. I may have ended the season owing them money.
I got one comment I'm not gonna say.
I don't know if you listen to that podcast, but if you later on in that podcast, it's crazy because that's a hell of a podcast, but they don't even push it at all. Nobody knows about that shit. Jim Gray and Tom Brady, but Tom and LT started getting into a back and forth. Like, Tom, you benefited from a lot of no LT, and they kind of went back and forth on it. So
I love that though. Because every generation think their generation was the best and you couldn't have made it. But in reality, I think everybody would just would have had no choice but to adjust to that era, like because that's the norm. You know what I'm saying? Like if something is the norm, then you just kind of like grow into that. You know, so it's easy for LT to say, "Oh, I would have just got kicked out." Well, that's because you have your current mindset of who you were when you played in the '80s. You know, late 80s, early 90s or whatever. But if you were born in this generation and this is what the league was, then you would have not just gotten kicked out. You would have played the way the league is made for right now. Just like if today's player was born in the late 80s, they would have no choice but to play to the level of that it was now. That's why I'm not big on this whole, this motherfucker just soft as hell. No, I think the rules itself and the system has made a softer situation, so the players have to adjust to that. So even if you do think the players are softer, it's because that the system has made it. It's not like players are just born as a baby. We're just fucking weak and soft and we can't, like, nah, that ain't the truth. So, but shout out to Kelso, though. I do know that. Called me a soft ass, but you send me that money. So y'all can talk shit if you gonna send me bread. I don't care.
Tom Brady, I mean, Lawrence Taylor, though, and to me is the greatest football player ever to walk the earth. And I'm an offensive guy talking about a defensive guy. To me, Lawrence Taylor is the greatest football player ever. Football player. Just take positions away. Impact, what he did, the games he did not miss. He played. He was available. LT, to me, is the greatest football player of all time. And, you know, that's always going to be an opinion, debate, whatever it may be. But in my opinion, he is the greatest. He's like my fucking – I got to meet him last year at the Pump Brothers thing. Or 2 years ago, not last year. I brought you last year. We got to go last year.
I brought you.
But 2 years ago. Man. And we follow each other on social media. He's a good dude. Had some rough patches in his life, obviously. To me, there's no better player than him.
It's hard to say in football because every position is so different. But
it's positionally, and everyone is tough. Like, I don't know.
I kind of like being on the left side. Like, I feel like I'm running shit when I'm on the left side. Like, you know what I mean?
You can go there. I mean, it's your birthday. We racist. So, you know what I'm saying? It's a black person, put him on the left.
Yeah.
You know.
Gerard
if you turn it, you on the right side of shit.
Ooh. Okay.
So let me ask you this real quick before we get out of here. We got to let it a little early. Belichick's interviewing for a second time today with Atlanta. That tells me there's something going on. He interviewed.
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, but hold on real quick. Eddie said 99 cents. They said $1.99. They said 99 cents, which I appreciate all of it. But why are you sending it in like pieces? Why don't you just send like $5 or $4 or whatever it's going to be?
Years ago, Smitty, Eddie was trying to become a member, and he literally dropped almost $100 in 99s.
No, he didn't.
No, I swear to God. Sean Waffle, Lucy, people that were here at that time, Hector, I believe will all tell you that everyone was trying to tell the guy how to do it, and he could not do it, and he kept sending 99 cents. And I said, you literally paid for months.
Shout out to Eddie, man. He a good dude, though. Eddie funny. Eddie is this show's Jameis Winston. Like, he gets saying nerds sometimes, but, man, you got to love him, man. That's just a good dude.
I heard another rumor. If AP gets the job in Vegas, he's going to try to go after Cliff Kingsbury as OC. I don't like that.
That's a little crazy. That's somewhat of a shocker, being one of your guys and knowing y'all got similar mindsets. And what is it about Clifford? Like, listen, for real, what is it about Kingsbury that makes people love him so much? And I'm not even trying to be a hater. I'm just saying, when you look at his head coaching history at college or the NFL, he hasn't really had a bunch of success. I know the ladies love him. I see Lucy in here. Cliffy. The women think he looks good, but we're talking about the job. We're talking about real football. He hasn't had, please correct me if I'm wrong, has he had like a 11-win season or something that I'm missing out on? Eddie clowning. No, it's adding up.
He doesn't. He doesn't have anything. This is the thing about it. Players see through his shit, and he's full of shit, and that's the issue. He's a fake fuck, and that's the problem. That's why I don't allow him in my office when I coach. That's why we had issues. He lied to me, did some other things. So I don't fuck with him, and I don't think I think people see through that right away. And that's the problem in the NFL. When players make more than you, they're not going to sit there and listen to bullshit be whispered in their ear. And that's the problem. And I don't know how AP would even interact with him. I don't know where the relationship's from either. I'm trying to think. He wasn't in New England. He wasn't in New York. He wasn't in
Arizona.
Green Bay. I don't know where he would have that at. So,
I mean, they say he's a QB whisperer. It's, it's didn't he coach Kyler?
Yeah.
So, no, he ain't got, I'm trying to think. Right, I'm trying to think. No, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Well, are the right? What pick do the Raiders got? Are they trying to get another quarterback? Probably because I don't know if they trust AOC. Maybe the guy they're bringing in. I don't know. I'm trying to find it. I was trying to find it. I really don't know what it is. Shout out to AP though, man. I hope AP gets the job first and foremost. Let's make that happen. Let's make that a thing. And then we'll go from there.
D Jones, they not hiring me, man. Come on.
Well, if you say that, JB, it's not gonna happen. Stop speaking so negative on this show.
If you hire JB,
then what?
They are scared to lose the job to me.
Come on, bro. Not everybody can. I'm saying AP is your dog.
I don't even gotta go into it. I don't even gotta dive into it.
AP's your dog.
You think the players are gonna eventually say, "Man, we want JB as a head coach"? You're crazy. That's what's gonna happen. These coaches know this. It's called jealous one's envy. It's an inferiority complex, small dick syndrome. I used to hire head coaches to be head coaches. I wanted you to be the head coach of your position. I wanted Smitty to come in and be a head coach one day. And I knew if you were going to try to snake me or not, but guess what? I still hired you because I ain't got no small dick syndrome. I ain't worried about that. These guys are worried about that. And that's the problem.
Are you unable to be a position coach?
What's up?
It sounds like you're unable, not because of you per se, but it sounds like because of what you're saying. It's impossible for you to be any sort of coach outside of head coach.
It's like me fucking around with Pete Carroll saying he'll go be a DC. He won't be a DC. And I wouldn't go be a position coach anymore either. So I'm not going to start over just to coach. You see what I'm saying?
I'm not saying a fucking GA. I'm just saying like a damn.
No, I know, but now quarterback coach for the Raiders? Yeah.
All right.
That's a different deal now. Quarterback coach at fucking Compton High School? No. Warren Central? No.
Hey, that might be a come up right there, man. And speaking of Warren Central, real quick side note, shout out to my Ball State defensive line coach, Chad Wilt. Just got a new job at Michigan State. He was at Warren Central yesterday recruiting. I heard one of the young cats, one of the defensive ends got offered. My high school D-line coach, shout out to him, Corey Clark. Without him, I wouldn't be the man I am today. Played a huge role in my career as a football player. And I connected them yesterday together. Boom. It's a great feeling. You know, I've always maintained great relations with all my coaches. So bringing my high school D-line coach with my college D-line coach, bringing them together was great. And Chad Wilt, he said he sees all the stuff that we're doing, sees all the content I have online, and he said he's kind of upset he hasn't been asked to be on the show yet. So I told him, I said, well, coach, I didn't know you wanted to be, you still coaching. I didn't want to put you in no bad spot. But, hey, if you want to be on the show, man, let me know, and we'll have you on. So we might have one of my former coaches on here to kind of let y'all know how much of a dog I really was, because y'all don't really believe it. JB think I was, you couldn't have played for my team at Indy. All due respect to your guys there. I know you got some dogs.
Smitty, you're going to end the show on your own. I got to take this call because I got some Mexicans here.
I'm about to go too.
End the show. Let's end it. I got to end the show. We got to get out of here. Tomorrow is Free Game Friday. E-Double, join us tomorrow to talk about all the stuff we've been talking about. Jeff Nadu, Big Matt. Tomorrow, Free Game Friday. Don't miss it. Pound the like button. Subscribe. Become a member. We will see you tomorrow on Free Game Friday. It'll be fearless and it'll be fired up. Appreciate y'all. Peace.
We switched it and filled the gap. Smitty and Jason Brown, we killed it, yeah, it's a wrap. We what the games we missing, we switched it and filled the gap.
You are now tuned in to the Coach JB